Happy Friday to everybody. Special guest tonight. You know him, you love him. It's been a while. Tom TD, looking fresh, repping his Cowboys gear, and looking like a miniature Sean McVay. I don't know if it's miniature because McVay's short as well, but something like that. Also, freshly wifed up. You got a girlfriend now.
I do.
Yep. You want to give her a
I'll,
shout out, say hello or anything? Does she watch the program?
She does not yet, but if I'm telling her that she's going to be on it, she probably will tune in. Haley, what's good?
Does she watch football?
College. She's a big fan of the semi-pro ball.
All right, get her into some fantasy. You know, you got to see how long this lasts. Once it gets later on, you don't want to invest in someone that might. I'm not saying this won't last, but you know how relationships go. Then you get her into some fantasy. You know, my wife plays 11 leagues, 10 leagues a year now. She's a degenerate just like myself. Super successful too, which is partially because my tutelage. Not to pat myself in the back too much. Anyways, NFL draft finally wrapped up, man. I'm excited to move on from, as much as I love the process, moving on to some tangible stuff here. And instead of now it's still hypotheticals in terms of playing time and depth charts and shit like that. At least we have concrete landing spots. The rosters are pretty set for the most part. Super excited about that. Do you have any big takeaways? I'm going to ask you in a little bit about your fantasy winners and losers, but any big takeaways from the draft?
I think this draft it very much lived up to the expectations of there was no concrete consensus. I mean, I think you saw it. You typically have those 8 to 10 blue chips where it's like, yeah, these guys are going to be top 10 players. They're going to fit right in. We could typically, I would say any above average fan can go through and kind of like pencil in the first 5-6 picks pretty well. And it was like after the quarterback out of Indiana.
Well, Sonny Styles was a faller, right? And then you got your Cowboys got yourself a guy that was, I think, top 7 in Caleb Downs. The fact he fell was wild because he was mocked. Yeah. The mock drafts are terrible, but he was mocked to go 5, possibly.
No, yeah, that was one of the things. There was a handful of teams like this draft. I would say definitely lended a little bit itself more to defensive needy teams than it did offensive needy teams. I felt like it was you had to dodge a lot of landmines on the offensive side, but like defense, it was pretty top heavily consistent. And your Styles, there was like that big 6 of defensive players going down for Bailey, Reese, Styles, Downs, so on and so forth. And it was like, there was so many teams in the top 10 that were hunting defense. And it was just like, where were those landmines going to fall? And obviously a couple of the big offensive pieces were other maneuverable things as well. But that allowed Dallas to get Caleb Downs. It allowed Reuben Bain to fall to 15. Now we can have the whole arm length debate, but I mean, dude is a ferocious pass rusher and plays the run very well. He knows how to play with that arm length, but teams can't. They didn't have a data point of somebody with that short of arms succeeding in the NFL.
Will Mack had really short arms, though. You know, like that's a comp for me, and I'm much more concerned about offensive linemen with short arms, in particular left tackles, right tackles with short arms, than I am edge rushers, man. Like that could be, you know, there's a list of guys that are really long at edge rusher that have sucked. So I understand that's a concern, but tape and production are one thing. Like I'm gonna definitely go over that. Not to mention his combine, stuff like that. His metrics are amazing. If we're gonna nitpick one thing, like that's why he falls to 15. He's a top 10 pick, and we're gonna get into this with the Rams in a little bit. That would have been a nice spot for the Rams to take, you know, a luxury pick, because every pick they would have made was a luxury pick, and they decided to make the most luxurious bougie pick in the history of drafts. Yeah. But give me a couple fantasy guys, fantasy names of some rookies that are surprise you in terms of their landing spot, guys that can be relevant that you're liking already for the upcoming year.
So the easy guys are the Jadarian Prices, the guys that are just going to like slot right into a very, very prominent role from day one. And obviously no K9 anymore. Charbonnet still coming off that ACL. Don't really have a solid timetable for him yet. So, I mean, it's him and it's Helani and it's
Emmanuel Wilson is probably going to be the starter, though. See, I would bet that Emmanuel Wilson leads his team in carries.
Yeah.
For this first 8 weeks.
I mean, that's probably.
Are you a fan of Jadarian Price, though? Do you like his game? That's where I'm at an impasse because I don't like him. I didn't like him. I had my favorite running back, and he's a great kick returner. He's fine. Me and Storey both comped him. We didn't share notes for the show. We both had our comp for him as Stoney Michel.
No, I mean he's a very one-dimensional runner. What he does well, and I feel like you could probably get him into a well-rounded enough to be a decent enough pass blocker. He's not going to give you anything in the receiving game. He's not going to make anything magical happen. He's going to get what's blocked for him, and if you block a good enough lane for him, he'll rip off 10, 12 yards. He does have he did have, I think it was 15 or 20% of his runs. I have the notes somewhere. He had a lot of runs that went over double-digit yards. So as long as you can open up a hole for him, he'll drag a linebacker down. He's not going to make people miss. It's not going to be the flashy play. He's just going to be a grinder. And I think it sets up well position-wise for him to get early value. I don't think it's there for the longevity, and I think people are a little overzealous with him just because he was, they used a first-round pick on him.
In general, early best balls, he is now going in like the 6th and 7th round, which I understand the appeal, right? Shiny new toy, inherent workload, but like Halane saw the field last year in the Super Bowl. I know that was not a necessity, but he's a fine pass blocker and he's fine in terms of a receiving back. And they brought in Emmanuel Wilson, who's not sexy at all, but he's a proven commodity. And the issues with Jadarian Price's game come in pass pro, and then the lack of a receiving profile, which is it's a projection. He has the tools because he's a kick returner. His hands aren't terrible. We just didn't see it in college. And it's like, do you think this team, who is Super Bowl, reigning Super Bowl champs, lost a decent amount on defense, and they're not going to have Charbonnet? Are they going to just hand over the keys of the kingdom to yes, he was a first-round pick, but the last pick of the first round? They wanted to trade out of that pick, and they just were like, whatever, we need a running back. I think it's a depth piece. I think it's an insurance policy for Charbonnet if he doesn't come back, a guy they're going to ease in. So I think that all these people taking him in the 6th round, like, that's DeAndre Swift territory, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I know DeAndre Swift's workload is going to be, I know it's not elite, but it's going to be 14 touches a game on a very good offense with a pass-catching profile and a history of being a pretty elite running back. Like, I mean, the fact that he should go in the Kyle Monangai range, in my mind. That's where I would be. Not to do another Bears comparison, but Monangai's a 9th-round pick. That makes sense. So, people are going to change.
Funny enough. Sorry, you kind of cut out on me there for a second.
Oh, I was just telling, like, they want to chase upside with Price. Let the people take them, and I will take proven commodities ahead. Or I'll take a guy like Nick Singleton, who I can get with my last pick, who actually has, I wouldn't say a clear path to carries, but Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, what are we talking about? They're going to be bad this year. Are they going to play Tony Pollard in week 13 when they're fucking have 5 wins? Like, I love Nick Singleton.
You beat me to it. That was where I was going. And that was what I was going to start off with, but I was like, I can't just start Nick Singleton right off the rip.
Right, and Jadarian Price might be a guy where you can be, he could be an RB2 or a flex for you. That's fine. It's a better offense, right? Like, Seattle is but I think people forget that Seattle was so bad. Charbonnet had all those touchdowns, but they were not a successful running team last year until the last 3 weeks of the season in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So, as much as Gray Zabel was great for him, he was better in terms of pass pro. So I just don't see. I don't know. I feel like it's just that he's a rookie getting hyped up, and there's not a lot of other running backs in this class to get hyped up over. And we're going to talk about Jeremiah Love later, who obviously is going to be awesome, elite, great talent, but not a great landing spot. And outside of that, we're looking at literally the Niners taking Kalen Black, who was a mystery pick, and he has McCaffrey ahead of him. We're looking at Jonah Coleman, who has a path, but he also has J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, who was a 2nd-round pick. So it's like none of these guys really have a clear path, but Price does. But so also, Zach Charbonnet coming back, like, okay, you're going to take a guy for early season, but, like, he's not going to be the starter over Zach Charbonnet. It may be for 3 weeks when Charbonnet gets his sea legs under him, but I think that the biggest X factor is we have no idea what's going on with Zach Charbonnet. We have no clue. Like, what would you guess his debut is? What week?
Depending on when their bye is, I think you're looking somewhere between weeks 8 and 10.
I was going to say week 10, which I feel like was being conservative. So in that case, you'd have Zach Charbonnet back full health, full go by like the fantasy playoffs.
If you're lucky, yeah. And that's the thing is I feel like with how Seattle operates, how they have operated in the past, what you're hoping for and what maybe even what they're hoping for is to work Price into what we formerly knew Zach Charbonnet to be, was that 1B, that complimentary, more of a short yardage grinder type back. And I feel like that's what you could see early on with Emmanuel Wilson being that Ken Walker type and Price being that heavier short yardage pounder type that we saw Charbonnet, just the one that was vulturing touchdowns. And sure as shit, I'm sure he'll vulture 2 touchdowns week 1 and everyone's just going to go berserk about him. And then, it's going to fall off the face of the earth.
What's wild to me is that Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL. It was pretty much the week after George Kittle tore his Achilles. And there's a lot of rumblings that George Kittle is potentially going to be ready for week 1. And we have no new, like Charbonnet, we're talking week 10. 2-month difference between a running back and tight end is different, but over a guy that's 33 compared to a guy who's 25 or 26, it's really it's weird because like you wouldn't think that George Kittle would come back before Zach Charbonnet, but like that seems to be like concrete right now.
Kittle's an Iron Man. He is an anomaly. He's a freaking nature.
He is. Do you have any other names you want to highlight in terms of big winners or even big losers in terms of rookies?
I mean, I could sit here and glaze Nick Singleton for the next 5 minutes. I mean, dude's 6 foot, 220. I mean, prototypical size, good speed, surprisingly smooth as a pass catcher, which I didn't really expect when I, turned on the tape. 3 out of the 4 years at Penn State, it was double-digit touchdowns for him. Who was it? Allen, the other running back.
Katron Allen, yeah, he's in Washington.
Yeah, he kind of took over a little bit more as the lead back that last season, and it was mainly because they switched from a zone scheme to a gap scheme, which fit Allen better than it did Singleton. And funny enough, Tennessee runs a zone scheme, typically an outside zone, which I think is going to lend to Singleton it's going to take the training wheels off of him earlier. And you touched on it with Pollard last year of his contract. I mean, what are they really going to do with him? He's getting old. He's getting up there in age. And they have given Tajay Spears every opportunity to take that job. And he has just fumbled it away. Him and his big, stupid guardian cap. So,
right. So we love to see. I'm glad that you're on board because me and Storey were super high on Singleton coming out of the process. And I mean, the draft capital isn't really there, but we were talking last night. A 5th-round pick in this draft for running back in general is now like a 3rd-round pick. So I'm not too concerned about the draft capital. And it's like the ties to Tony Pollard or nothing. And then Tajay Spears, I think they still like him. I still like Tajay Spears. But the injury history and the fact that he's just too small to be an early down guy. And like what I love about Nick Singleton in particular, same thing with Emmett Johnson coming out. They're guys that can play both roles, right? If your scat back gets hurt, and it's crazy I'm saying this about Nick Singleton, who's 220, but his strength is almost pass catching. So he can take over Tajay Spears' role. If Tony Pollard gets hurt or gets traded, he can take over Tony Pollard's role. And if best case scenario, he can be a 3-down workhorse. That's what we're looking for. And in terms of like, redraft this year, this is the perfect last round pick. And I think he's going to be a last round pick because people see Tennessee, they see Tony Pollard, they know Tajay Spears. Yeah. They're going to look for the higher upside guy when this is actually the highest upside guy.
Oh yeah. No, as far as price to potential return on investment, he is probably my favorite lottery ticket that's out there as far as rookie running backs go.
Agreed. All right, you want to get into this list? So we're going to go through some winners and losers in terms of teams for the NFL draft. And I want to start with losers. Let's much more fun. And we actually have the same exact list. So we're going to go one by one and talk about these debacles and what to make of them. And let's start off with the Jaguars here, who, even before the draft, right, like losing Devin Lloyd, and then ETN isn't the biggest loss, but they lost both of them. You thought they would retain one of those guys. They go and lose both their starting running back and their anchor of their defense, their captain of their defense, a guy that was ascending, right, and finally met the goals they had when they drafted him. And I love Devin Lloyd. And this draft is rough and weird. Very weird, Tom.
Yeah, I think you're very much seeing that it is a copycat league, and I think the Jags are trying to shift more into that, running a lot of 12 and 13 man personnel. I mean, you see the Rams do it with such success. All right, why don't we try it? And the Borkature pick I thought was early, to say the least, and it just kind of spiraled and started this weird day 2 run on these more inline wide tight ends. And I feel like just everybody that was a prototypical tight end just up a round or two. And I think that's going to I don't think the Jags have the personnel and the coaching abilities to execute what the Rams do so successfully with that 12 and 13 personnel. I mean, the Rams operate out of that.
Or the players, because Brendan
Right.
Strange is fine, but Berkshire, and they also take – I love Tanner Koziel. So this is a guy that had 100 receptions in a season at it was NC State, some smaller school, and then he transfers over to Houston, has a nice productive year, like 60 catches. He's definitely he's really tall. He's 6'7", but he's strictly a Dalton Schultz, like a tall Dalton Schultz type. Yeah. And, Brendan Strange is fine, but they don't have any elite guys there. And they're really feeling the pain of that Travis Hunter pick because they don't know what the hell to do with Travis Hunter. And now he's going to be a corner. And I promise you, he's going to be at best an average corner this year. Would you agree with that? Coming off injury, best, being really raw.
Yeah.
Like he'll make some splash plays for sure. But like in terms of actually like being, on the correct assignment and not making boneheaded plays and being able to tackle, his tackling is fucking awful, man. Like he'll just get hurt. He's tiny.
Man makes business decision after business decision out there. But
that's an issue, and like not having a first round pick, and then you go with a blocking tight end. Like when you have other needs, you got to fill that Devin Lloyd spot. They went defensive tackle. I do like the guard they took. Jalen Husky, they had to replace. They didn't replace a corner. They had a need for corner. I guess they're going to rely on. They're relying on Travis Hunter. Which, just I love Liam Cohen, man, and I love what they did, and I think that he's great for Trevor Lawrence. And Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington, who everyone thinks is the greatest player ever right now, which is just mind blowing to me. Parker Washington is going ahead of Brian Thomas in best ball sometimes. Why? Yeah. I mean, I thought I was the biggest Parker Washington. I thought I was like the president of the Parker Washington fan club last year, but I just couldn't shut up about him for 2 weeks. And then now it's like everyone just like he's a god. Like he's like Amon-Ra St. Brown to these people.
It's obviously the NFL is a what have you done for me lately type of scenario, and what Parker Washington has done lately is provide very consistent volume and fantasy production, while Brian Thomas just fell off a cliff and everybody hates him now. So I can very much understand the influx in the drafting of those two. If the Jags are leaning towards the way that they want to go, which it seems to be more of this physical brand of football, I think early on you're going to see all of the receivers potentially take a slight step back and just all of their volume and production. But at the same time, I don't think the Jags have the bodies across the offensive line or really the running backs unless they're really going to get Lakeem Allen heavily involved. And this might just be a me thing, I'm not sold on Bashal Tutin.
No.
And if you're going to try to run these two guys.
So I was sold on Bashal Tutin once ETN left, and I was drafting him before ETN left because I figured the writing was on the wall there, and I was like, Bashal Tutin, he is the metrics darling. This guy's huge. He's fast. He's agile. And then once it happened, I was like, before I really put this on my name and like talk about him ad nauseum, I was like, I'm going to go back and watch every carry he had, every touch he had, every target he had last year. And it was awful. Like saying he looked like a rookie was the understatement of my life. Like, dude is just, he stumbles and falls down. He doesn't see the hole. Just raw is the word. And he doesn't quite play to his metrics. Right. And maybe that was a lot of stuff in between the ears there, but they already said that Chris Rodriguez might lead this backfield, which I love Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez is, he's Chris Carson light. He's a fine player, but he's a limited player. And like to go from Travis Etienne, who I'm not even a big fan of, but has major juice in all facets of the running back game, You're downgrading at running back. And if you're going to go with this heavy personnel and you're going to have substandard running backs, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. As much as I love Liam Cohen, like this team, the decisions they've made going back to the Travis Hunter pick and some of the other draft picks last year, and then this draft, not signing Devin Lloyd, like those things are just rough, man. And like me and Nico had this, we did our over-unders before the draft, teams we like betting over-under, and Jags were they were my number 2 under, 9.5 wins. And that's a gettable division. Just so many question marks, and Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 question mark. I mean, he killed it in fantasy last year on the back of 9 rushing touchdowns, which probably won't continue. And just it, I don't know. It's rough, man. I'm going to ask you this one last question about Brian Thomas, Parker Washington. Who are you taking in a vacuum? Brian Thomas, Parker Washington, 6th round this year, roughly.
PPR?
Yeah, full PPR, which should favor Parker Washington. Don't tell me Parker Washington.
That's where I'm going at this point.
Oh God, why?
Joe, what's the matter? Don't I turn you on?
I don't know what the problem is.
Well, would it help if you went back to thinking I'm your sister?
Like I'm some sort of white trash perv?
I'm your sister. I'm your sister.
Oh, you're my sister!
We were just talking about your sister.
Classic.
Zinger. We have Dakota in here. Thank you, Dakota. Lakers coasting. They're at 49-31. This is a closeout game, but you know what? I just saw the Magic up like 20 points or some shit and lose to Detroit. So, come on, LeBron. One more game, and Dakota is going to be getting another series of hating on LeBron. Love you, Dakota. You might see Dakota tomorrow night at an open bar. We'll see how that shakes out. So, any last thoughts on the Jaguars? We don't like this draft. What do you think about their 9.5 win total? Would you, if you had to bet it, which way would you lean?
I would probably lean the under, and that's just with the amount of loss that they've had in this offseason and the way that they've attempted to fill the pieces in a way that I don't agree or align with. And again, what kind of seems like a philosophical change coming from them based off of who they're trying to acquire. I think they're in for a rude awakening because I don't think they're going to be able to execute the way they want to.
Yeah, I mean, this is last year I think Trevor Lawrence got back into people's good graces, but the film, it was just a lot of short stuff. And I got to see Trevor Lawrence throw the ball downfield. That was the biggest problem with Brian Thomas, besides the injuries. I'm still in on Brian Thomas. I'm taking Brian Thomas over Parker Washington. I'm sorry, he's a better player, and I hated him last year. The thing is, this is what we do on this channel, guys. I didn't hate Brian Thomas, the player. Okay, I hated the ADP last year, 12th to 13th overall, silliest thing I've ever seen. And that was I didn't think it would be that bad, bro. It was awful. But now we're looking at 6th or 7th round for Brian Thomas. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm gonna go upside. And Parker Washington probably has a safer floor, but you're not winning your league because of Parker Washington. I could win my league because of Brian Thomas. And if he flames out, it's my wide receiver 3. I'll draft accordingly and draft Quentin Johnston and some other guys in the 9th, 10th round. One of them will hit, right? We think? Or I'll pick up next year's Michael Wilson. Let's move on to the Rams. And this one's fun because, favorites to win the Super Bowl going in. I think they're probably still the favorites. But, I mean, they had a great offseason before the draft. I love McDuffie. I love the moves they made to kind of reinforce their weaknesses, or even just they got in the secondary now. But this draft, Ty Simpson in particular, Max Clare also, the first 2 picks are bougie. Like I said, the bougiest things I've ever seen. What are we doing here with Ty Simpson and Max Clare? Let me ask you this first. Did you like Ty Simpson coming out? We didn't talk a lot of NFL drafts since you haven't been on the show. So give me your Ty Simpson evaluation. And is 13th overall too rich in general? To throw out the Rams taking them, just say any team took him at 13th overall. Was that fair?
I mean, it was still probably too high for him. And that's the thing is with the positional value and the premium that goes on quarterbacks, at best, I think you would have been looking at him as a end of round 1, like a team trading back up into the, late 20s, 30s, just to get their
Jackson
guy with
Dart situation
option. Yeah. Jackson Dart, Lamar Jackson, however you want to slice it, like the arm talent leaves me with a lot of questions. The mobility isn't anything to be desired. So, I mean, he's going to be pretty much landlocked. When you factor in the Rams situation, I mean, McVay, Stafford, like he got put into a decent enough situation as him, the player. Again, like we've talked about, I think it was a very much a luxury pick that the Rams didn't need to make, and that's not going to help them in their current Super Bowl window. And of all the things that, that franchise has been very much F them picks. I mean, less need all the way down is just they want to mortgage their future to win right now. So it was very
that was what they have done, and they did the exact opposite, which I brought up the thing the other day on the show about the Jordan Love thing, which has worked out in a way. They didn't have any transition from Aaron Rodgers, but they had a window to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, which when you have Aaron Rodgers in his prime, it's Super Bowl or bust every year. And the fact they only won one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, did the same thing with Aaron Rodgers with Brett Favre, right? They only won one Super Bowl with Brett Favre. It ended up working out because you got the second one with Rodgers. We don't know if Jordan Love will win one. I mean, they have the team right now. But at this current spot we're in, was that a good decision to not draft T. Higgins that year? When if you draft T. Higgins, maybe you win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. You understand what I'm saying? Like, Super Bowls are fleeting, 100%. Man. There's only one team every year. And talk to a team like the Browns and the Dolphins. The Chicago Bears have not won one since '85. Your Dallas Cowboys, who
what's up,
top of the moon, and I'm saying they can't even sniff an NFC Championship game, right?
No.
The Rams they're almost like too cocky here with this pick. And I don't like Ty Simpson, the player. I think it's wild that he's only played 1 year, and Matt Stafford's most certainly playing this year. I would say 2 years. He's going to play 2 more years, maybe 3. Let's just say it's 2. And let's say they win a Super Bowl and everything works out well. Now you have Ty Simpson starting 2028. Okay? That would have been, going into that year, he would have 1 full season playing out of 6 years.
Right.
That doesn't work. I'm sorry. Like, as great as it is having Sean McVay and being, tutored by Matt Stafford and being in those meetings and just holding the clipboard is awesome, man. But it's nothing compared to on-the-job experience. And he has none of that. And he played at Alabama, like with not the best roster, but a way better roster than, some of these other guys we've seen coming out. No experience, not a physically gifted guy. I mean, his arm's above average, but he's not exactly like a top-tier athlete or a top-tier specimen or a top-tier spinner of the football.
Yeah, he's not one of those guys that can just stand in the pocket and sling it.
It seems weird. And with next year's quarterback draft, like I heard some people saying, well, you know what? They could always flip Ty Simpson in 2 years and get like a 3rd-round pick. Like, that's like buying a car, not driving it, buying it for $40,000, not driving it, and then selling it for $20,000 2 years later. Like,
what the Cardinals get for Josh Rosen?
But a 5th-round pick, right? Like, right. What are the Colts going to get for Anthony Richardson? A fucking 6th-round pick for Anthony Richardson, but they spent a top 5 pick on him? Yeah. It doesn't work. It's like a new car. You drive it off the lot. It's not your guy. You don't know what's between his head. Why are you getting rid of the guy? Trey Lance. You guys somehow got a decent haul for Trey Lance, all things considered. But
I mean,
you guys, you gave up a good. You gave up. Yeah, too much. Sorry about that.
I mean, Jerry Jones.
So you would give this. I do like C.J. Daniels. So the 6th-round pick. They waited at receiver. They didn't really need it because they have all those tight ends now. Let's touch on the Max Clare thing because I'm a Max Clare guy, but they need to cut Tyler Higbee. Are they going to cut Tyler Higbee? What's going on there? Because they have 4 tight ends now, and they might play them all. Who knows?
Honestly, and I mean that's the thing is you've seen Ferguson, Parkinson, and Davis Allen all contribute in their own ways, and I feel like to this point Higbee's always kind of been like the front runner, but he's been the guy that's done the least for them, and I liked Claire. I mean, the volume was very up and down. I mean, again, not a lot of colleges just feature the tight ends. And when you have a team like Ohio State with all the receiving talent that they do, like, you're going to get in the mix as a tight end and you're going to make some splash plays here and there, but you're not going to I feel like his potential is a little untapped for that reason. And with the amount of 12 and 13 personnel that the Rams like to run, I feel like Claire has an ability to get onto the field early enough and showcase some of that dynamicism that he has that I think I've seen on tape. And an injury is definitely going to be like the quickest way, but McVay very much leans on that tight end position as a strength and as like a stability pillar of his offense. And I mean, I don't think it was, we talked about the luxury pick of the Ty Simpson in the 1st. I feel like this one, as much as I want to call it a luxury pick, I feel like you're just reinvesting and making a strength a strength. I mean, it was like watching Dallas draft offensive lineman after offensive lineman, round one picks left, year after year. And it's like, it's not a sexy thing to do, but it's like when your offense derives from a certain set of positions to open up everything else, I don't hate this because I like the player.
What would you give the grade for the Rams draft? I know they didn't have a lot of capital. They didn't have a 4th or 5th round pick, but what would you give this grade?
I mean, I didn't hate the Keegan Tross pick out of Missouri and Tim Keegan as well. Like, I think they got some decent enough players. I question the positional picks and how it impacts their roster right now. I'd probably give it a solid C, leaning C plus.
That's nice. See, I'm giving it an F, bro. I like some of the picks, like you said, but like the Max Clare thing is not going to help them this year. I'm sorry. Like, unless 2 guys go down, like you could have gotten by without Max Clare. Ty Simpson is a 0 this year. And if Matt Stafford gets hurt, if you think you're winning the Super Bowl with a Ty Simpson who's not exactly battle tested, you're not. So I'm giving it an F, man. And it might down the road, it might be better. I'm saying that for this year, and this
for
most
this
teams,
for
that's
this
not
year,
how you
it's
evaluate the
definitely
draft.
worse.
But this is what matters this year for the Rams. It's this year and next year. And this has come.
Yeah, Dad. You need some of this.
This is cum.
No, see, I feel like in context of what we think the Rams are and why we are viewing them in like this whole win now window, if you were to just take this draft and put it with arbitrary team X, you're probably giving it a C. But that whole factor of and that's where I was going. Because like I feel like the Rams did something very uncharacteristic of themselves and didn't invest everything into this year. They gave themselves a little bit of stability, which, maybe that helps them hang around as a contender for longer. But you might not win the Super Bowl this year. So that's the coin toss that you play there.
When you play Dynasty, though, the number one rule is the windows are short, just like in the NFL. You go for it, right? You go for it. And I say the same thing about these bad teams that make these marginal moves to be somewhat relevant. This is across sport talk, like what the Bulls have done forever. Like, just suck. If you're going to suck, just really suck. And that's the way to become the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? To then you compile picks. You keep on pushing the date back 2 or 3 years. It sucks for the fan base, but you know what? It sucks for the dumb fans. The real fans understand ball, understand that like it's a long game. And it's not it could be a quick turnaround, but when you're that bad, when you're a Browns or a Raiders or a Dolphins, it's going to take 3 or 4 years. It really is. And that's for the best. But a lot of it's the culture now. Everyone realistic, guys. It's not realistic. Let's move on to our third team here. This is the Cardinals. And this one is wacky, dude. Again, Jeremiah Love, when you signed Tyler Algier, you restructure James Conner. I still kind of like Trey Benson. Carson Beck, I think this has to do a lot with, Brissett saying he's going to hold out. And like they're literally like taking this backup quarterback who played okay last year, but won 1 game, I believe, during that stretch. And like making a reactive move because what Jacoby Brissett says. Dude, you're in a division with literally 3 of the top 5 teams in the NFC. The Niners are always going to be good no matter what. The Rams are the fucking cream of the crop, and the Seahawks just won the Super Bowl. And you're not winning this. You're not winning next year. 0 chance. You're not even making the playoffs. You're not sniffing the playoffs. And you take a running back, and he's the 2nd or 3rd highest paid running back in the league based on draft slot. When no one's paying running backs,
he's going to be the highest paid.
Even worse. So, and I love Jeremiah Love. I feel like he's Jahmyr Gibbs level talent, right? He's not. I think Bijan's better. I think Adrian Peterson is better, but he's better than Genti, right around Gibbs. Good player, very good player, but they have a lot of defensive needs. They have a lot of needs in general. And yeah, I guess Basantis is fine. I didn't hate him. I thought it was a little early. Caleb Proctor is a guy that could be a good player. But outside of this, like Reggie Virgil, bro, like Deion Burks went in the 7th round. What are you doing? Like, why are you even taking a receiver? You have enough receivers. You have Michael Wilson, you have Marvin Harrison, you have Trey McBride, who counts as 2 receivers as a tight ends. It's just a dumb draft, man. And like I know that they were trying to trade out of the 3rd spot. How could they not find a suitor? Just trade out. Just trade out, man.
And even if you can't trade out of there, it's you know how to build a team. And I get that. I think part of the issue was LaFleur came from a handful of places that invested, that he watched their teams invest early in running backs and tried to make that their focal point. I mean, you saw him with the Rams, they did it with Gurley, Brees Hall with the Jets. Now he's here. He's, it's just, you can see that tangential line of like how he's kind of mirroring some of the people before him. But like, it just, that team has so many holes on it. Last year, 26th in defensive EPA, and they didn't do a damn thing to address that defense. They lost.
No, they took a defensive tackle when they have Walter Nolan, who's awesome. Like, take an edge rusher. Edge rusher is a really important position. Take some guys in the secondary. I don't see a single secondary piece here. And you're playing in a division with Matt Stafford, with Brock Purdy, with Sam Darnold, who now is a gunslinger. Like, you need some guys in the back ends. Or to rush the passer, one of the two. A run-stuffing defensive tackle when you have Walter Nolan, who is a good pass rusher for defensive tackle, but he's not Chris Jones. It's just wacky, man.
I like Proctor. I like his, he's a smaller school guy. I think he's gonna develop into a good player eventually. Which 4th, 5th round, like sure, if you make the correct first 3 picks, then you can take that luxury pick and have a good player 2 years from now, 3 years from now that impacts. But that team does not have a right tackle. They don't have a right tackle. I couldn't even tell you who was even slotted to be it. Basantis is he played right tackle his freshman year at A&M, I want to say, and then everything else was left guard. He's going to be a guard for them, which is fine. Spencer Fano and or Mauino were staring you right in the face. You've got a plethora of running backs on that roster that can do the job. And you take Jeremiah Love, even if you couldn't trade out of that spot, take one of the offensive tackles, plug and play, move on, build this team for the future, because I understand that you weren't going to get a quarterback in this draft. They wanted Ty Simpson, but that wasn't going to be a thing unless they somehow found a way to trade back into the first. And if he slid past a handful of teams, you had the Rams apparently. The Steelers were interested in, like, there was a few landmines that they would have had to avoid, but like, After Mendoza, it's like you knew you weren't getting a quarterback in this draft, so you could have taken the route of positioning your team and your franchise in a good enough spot down the road, and Carson Beck's not the guy. I mean, dude has next to no mobility. No, I mean, he's a big dude with like he looks to me like Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz like had no mobility, like end of career Carson Wentz mobility, and Bryce Young's arm on Carson Wentz's body, because the dude just doesn't have juice. He cannot throw out routes whatsoever.
That's a freaky thing to think about, is Bryce Young's arm on Carson Wentz's body. It would look opposite of what Quagmire's arm looked like when he found out about the internet, and he comes out, his right arm's just jacked because he's been jerking off so much. It's the opposite of that with Bryce Young's arm.
Just
one last thought on Jeremiah Love. That hey Peter, how's it going? So Bijan Robinson, this is my comparison. Bijan Robinson has been better than we all thought he was coming out of college. Top tier prospect.
Yep.
And he has not played in a playoff game. Okay. And like, he's been elite. So Jeremiah Love, that's his upside, is to become Bijan Robinson. And this is probably even a shittier situation that he's going into, Jeremiah Love's going into, than what Bijan had. And definitely in terms of division, it's way shittier. So like, it's just a luxury pick that you just it's why you don't see running backs taken in the top 5 anymore. It's multiple reasons, right? It's the teams can't afford to spend a top tier pick on a running back because they have a million needs. It's a luxury position, and you can get it for super cheap. Like, even now, like, Trey Benson's going to be available for free because they're going to cut him. I'm not saying Trey Benson's awesome, but he's a former, third round running back that's young, that's actually showed out a little bit in the NFL. So, like, there's just no reason to take this. I just don't get it. The Titans made sense to me. The Giants even made sense to me. The Washington was the real spot that made a lot of sense.
Thank you, draft gods, for not letting that happen. But and even for fantasy perspective, like last year when we saw Genty go in the top 10, it was like, all right, cool. He fits in where there's no other backs. And as much as he was inefficient and, that line wasn't blocking for him, anything like that, like the volume alone was going to propel him into fantasy relevance where, I haven't done any of my projections or rankings, but like I would imagine Love's going to be like running back 16 to 18 for me. Like he's not
going off right now, like running back 10. So you're saying you're not touching him in the early third round.
No, we saw it in Bijan's rookie year. He's got that same guy behind him that is a damn good running back in Algier, and he's just going to get the job done. I know he's pissed now and made some sort of Instagram post or whatever. It was like, I came here to be the guy. I didn't want to, do this again, blah, blah, blah. And I don't really see him like physically letting that impact his play or his availability or anything like that. But I think he's just, I wanted him to go to the Chiefs so bad because I thought Algier was going to slot perfectly in there and Kansas City wouldn't have done a damn thing about it and just handed him the ball 17 times a game, thrown the ball a couple of times. Where I think they're just going to cannibalize off each other, and I think that's going to cap Love's value.
And to your point about Algier being upset, like I think he specifically took less money because he wanted to be the guy, and because it was a pretty cheap. It was like a 2-year, $12 million contract, like something pretty like cheap, dude. Where he could have gotten a 3-year, $18 million, 3-year, $19 million deal somewhere else to have more competition. But it was like, okay, there's not a lot of spots like that available, but it's just a head scratching draft from the Cardinals. What is your grade? JD says the Love pick gets a D grade for me. They had bigger needs. What is your overall grade for the Cardinals? Because I think it's awful.
JD, I'm with you. I give this entire draft class grade AD. There's a couple of pieces that I can appreciate enough, but the overall structure of how this is going to play into their short-term and long-term success is just, it's not there.
ESPN, I'm looking at ESPN right now for just to have the draft board up here. They gave the Cardinals an A. Can you please just tell us more, ESPN?
Good, tell me everything.
Okay, they were both here. They were both inside me. Eduardo was in my mouth and Luther was in my butt.
Oh my God, no, don't tell me everything. What? No, what?
Damn it, Bonnie.
Eduardo who?
Sanchez.
Holy shit, tell us more.
Then Luther went in Eduardo's butt for a while.
Tell us less. Tell us less.
Then they both completed on each other. I was left out of the finale.
You know what? The Cardinals were left out of the finale of this draft. All right, we're going to get to our winners here in a second. Before that, I'm going to hit you guys with the intro. Be back in 30 seconds. Dakota asked if me and you have been left out of the finale. You've ever been with multiples at once? I'm sure Tom's probably been with a foursome with 3 hot blondes, is my guess. But you are the finale in that situation. You're the whole fucking grand finale there, baby.
I take it all.
Would you agree with this? Jonathan says, shout out Jonathan. Shout out Dakota. Fanatics in the Patreon. We love you. I like Love more for dynasty rather than redraft. That's still pretty apparent, but it's more of a long-term thing because I think, at least the first year, maybe the second year might be a little rough, considering we all had him as obviously the 101 in this draft, but just as, the Gibbs level, Bijan level, even ahead of Genty, because we knew Genty's situation was god-awful, and Genty was not quite the prospect. I love Genty the prospect, but Boise State compared to Notre Dame, 2 different animals.
Yeah. First and foremost, they're going to have to be bad enough this year to either to earn a top-tier draft pick or mortgage a little bit of their future to move up and get a quarterback. As soon as you solve that answer, if you solve that answer next year, I think you're looking at year 3 is going to be the first time that you get actual Jordan Love, or not Jordan Love. Nice. Yeah.
Jeremiah Love.
Yep. I've been doing
got
that
you, buddy.
constantly.
I
I think that's when you're going to see your the actual return on investment for Jeremiah Love that you are putting into that 101 pick. I mean, it's not going to be this year.
Speaking of Dynasty, say hello to Helen Hunt. There's Helen. Hi, Helen. How you doing? Looking great today. Tom is going to be part of our Dynasty League. You and Nico are managing a team. All the co-hosts are co-managing a team. Looking forward to that. We do have one spot. Tom, we went up to 14 teams. I know you're aware of this. We have one spot available. If we don't fill that, we're just going to separate Chaz and Ray, and they'll have their own separate teams. And I want to fill it. I'm going to give a deadline until Sunday. Anyone that's interested, hop in. So I'm going to also give a shout out to the Patreon members. Appreciate everybody in here helping me out along the way. I do host a really great program, Tom, and we did 29 shows during April in a very dead month. I know you have the NFL draft, but it's not exactly September. 29 shows, putting a lot of work here, a lot of time. You're getting the elite guests. You got Tom, you got Nico, you have Mike Storey, you have Big Ray. The guests go on and on. They're all super elite, make my job really easy. So shout out to all you guys, though. Appreciate you. Anyone that's interested in supporting the show, getting in this community, most importantly, there's a lot of perks besides just supporting me. Access to the Discord community. It is the place to be. Community fantasy leagues, guest appearances on the pod. We might see Dakota on tomorrow. Free merchandise giveaways. I just sent out a bunch of hats and shirts to all of the people, and access to the early plays, guys. We crush every year. And in addition to my player props here, we went 96 and 58 last year. You're getting You're getting Mike Storey's college picks, who he is a college football expert. He dominates every year on those. And Mouth South's NFL game picks, which I'm looking forward to seeing how he does, but he knows ball. So you're going to have 3 different avenues to bet. And just in general, if you just want to bet mine, which tried and true, all documented, I send them in the Discord with receipts when I place them so you can get the same odds I get. We're hitting at 63% last year. So that's they call that pretty elite, Tom. You really can't get better than that. And a lot of people charge $100 a month for their picks. To get the picks, and as well as a lot of other stuff, is $10 a month to get in the community. It's $5 a month if you want to get in the Discord, but professionalfanatics.com. If you want details on that, go to the link in the description. Hop in the Patreon. I'll get you in there tonight. And if you want to get in the Dynasty, we have one spot. That's it's gonna be that's the first ever Fanatics League. We're gonna have a lot of redrafts in August, but this is the big one. This is all the co-hosts. This is all the OGs. 9 of the OGs that have been with us a long time that are in this very chat almost every single night, talking in the Discord. It's gonna be a topic of a lot of discussion on the show, and we're ready to whoop you and Nico's ass, bro.
Come on now.
That's what everyone's saying, though. See, everyone's so confident. I love it, though. There can only be one winner each year.
Well, that's the thing is, we've actually had the pleasure of playing in a league for the past couple of years, and I mean, I'll give it to you. You got it last year, but
I didn't win. No, I won 2 years ago.
Oh, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, okay. I was the number 1 seed though last year, and then I don't even think I got 3rd place. I think I had a bye and I went LL to get 4th place. You know how that goes, man. The best team never wins. I didn't even realize I won 2 years ago because I'm in so many leagues, and that's like my lowest buy. It's $150 the where it's at league, Nico's league. Yep. I don't that league, and that's my biggest problem. Is it's such a deep league, and some of these people are super invested. That's saying I don't care about it, but I can't put the time in that some others are putting in, and like the payouts are just not enough, and it's not my specific friend group. It's not my, it's not a league that I am commissioned. I care about those, and those are $250 with 12 and 14 teams. Like.
Right.
This is a man for $150, which isn't chump change. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying when I'm exclusive $3 leagues, like, and there's 25 of them, like this 150, I'm just gonna kind of poo-poo.
Right. If I win it, cool. Cover a couple of my buy-ins, yada yada yada.
How many times have you won? How many years have you been in?
I've been in 4, and it was first, second, and then. I think I took 4th or 5th last year.
Yeah, that was before I knew of your existence because you were a late arrival. Like I said, I don't pay too much attention to the league. I don't know who you were. And I do remember you coming in and dominating for a couple years. And fuck you for that, by the way. But Tom knows his shit. That's why I have him on the show. Now, it's not just for his good looks, okay? Tom, who would be your first pick if you draft in the top 5? So I guess what he's asking is, let's just do this redraft style. Rank your top 5. I think we all have the same top 5. I want to hear full PPR, your actual top 5 this year.
Full PPR with. See, I'm a running back through and through guy. So I mean, I've very much been debating Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan with my 101. I mean, I know the receivers are the safer play, but in my mind, it's just like you can definitely lose your draft with the first overall pick if you fuck it up. So like receivers are the safer route, and I would probably just top of my head, because again, I haven't done any of my stat outs or projections yet, but I would probably lean Gibbs, Bijan, Chase. See, I want to put CMC in there because I know how he's going to fucking stat out for me, but it's just I'll put CMC at 5, and then I'll go
Puka at 4.
Who do I want at 4 behind Chase?
It's either Puka or JSN.
Yeah,
This is fucking long-winded as shit. Get to it, man. Oh fuck.
Give me Puka. Give me Puka. I think JSN's going to take a little bit of a step back, but
I hate giving you shit, but that was long.
It's really unfair. It's my team. It's my quarterback. And if you guys do that, man, it's unfair. We lost as a team.
Hey,
I'm just giving you shit. I've already done like 35 or 40 best balls, so I'm already ingrained in all these things. Mine is the same as yours, but I'm not putting CMC in there. I'm putting JSN at 5, Puka at 4, Jamar Chase at 3, 2 is Bijan. I have Jahmyr Gibbs as 1 as well, and part of it was them taking offensive line help in the draft. Like, and the way I broke it down with Jahmyr Gibbs is he has been a top 3 running back pretty much his entire career on the back of 15 touches a game. And now you have no David Montgomery. You're replacing David Montgomery with Isaiah Pacheco, who is probably a better player than what we've seen post fibula injury, right? But he's not David Montgomery. And we saw Dan Campbell is a maniac. And what he did 2 years ago when Montgomery was hurt, I know it was only a 4-game sample. It was like 26 touches a game. So I think I can conservatively call for 22 touches a game for Gibbs. Where Bijan's workload, yes, Algier is a better player than Brian Robinson Jr., but I don't think Bijan's not going to get much more work. He might get 10% more work. He might go from 19 to 21 touches, but like that's the same ballpark where Gibbs is going to go from 15 touches to 22 touches, and I know a top 5 offense. Atlanta is a borderline top 15 offense. You know what I mean? Like, now the passing volume would be better for Bijan. He's a better pass catcher. He is just a better player. But Jahmyr Gibbs is a more home run hitter. So give me the elite home run threat and the workload. And like he was scoring 10 plus rushing touchdowns with David Montgomery on the team, which makes no sense to me. It's just the fact that Lions inside the 5-yard line are like, we're going to run the ball 3 straight times. I love it.
And to be fair, like Bijan is, yes, a better receiver of the ball, but I feel like you see it in the Lions offense where they scheme Gibbs the ball in so many better ways where it looks like the Cardinals are just kind of like caught with the Falcons are just kind of caught with their pants down. And it's just like, all right, we're in trouble. Swing it. The occasional screens, but they don't design. They won't motion him all the way out into a trips formation, throw him a bubble screen and let him go from there. Like that's a money play for Gibbs.
Agreed. I don't have that clip yet, Dakota. I will upload. I had to upload like 12 graphics for this specific show. And I already had to delete one of my Helen Hunt pictures, a couple of my all-time favorite old clips. So I will add that in here, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm going to add a couple more Grandma Boy clips because Grandma's Boy is a great movie. Have you seen Grandma's Boy, Tom?
I have not.
Ooh, it's a video game movie. It's a Happy Madison production. It's really good. It's really good.
Okay.
All right, let's get on to our draft winners. And whatever I have first, we're going to go with, whether it's your team or my team. One of my teams. Let's see. Let's go with yours here. We have the Giants. You love the Giants draft. What do you love most of the Giants draft?
I mean, it's definitely hard, but I love the value that they got across the board with their first 4-5 picks. I mean, Arvell Reese was very much a luxury pick for them, but I mean, they're gonna find out if he can play off-ball linebacker and be a hybrid edge rusher at different points of the game. I mean, you've got Burns, Thibodeau, and Abdul Carter. So I mean, you're getting pressure across that defensive line where like it seems like a bit of a luxury pick for them to be like, oh, they took another edge rusher, but it's like this guy can play off-ball linebacker as well, which is where they need help. Mawanoa shores up that offensive line in a big way for them. And that was, I mean, I think that is the only reason that Caleb Downs made it to us, because I very well could have seen them going Reese and Downs at 10. But again, they saw that they had a bit of a needed offensive line still. I mean, that line hasn't been right for a while. And I think Mawanoa, with his flexibility to play inside and out, very much helps them solidify wherever they want to put him to help, secure some of those issues. Colton Hood, the corner out of Tennessee, I didn't think, I mean, there was a lot of talks about him going in the first round, and for him to fall to
like top 20 even.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was a potential pick, and I know Dallas was on him specifically, and if they decided that they wanted to go corner, if they didn't get some secondary help at 12, there was talks about Dallas going him at 20. So, I mean, he was definitely he wasn't a first-round graded player. He was a high second-round grade, but, I mean, there was maybe 13 or 14 first-round grades in this class. So, I mean, I very much thought Hood was going in the first round, whether it be the latter half of it. And then on to Malachi Fields. I mean, big body. I mean, yeah, definitely, yeah. Malachi Fields.
I love him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the perfect complement for what they're going to do, especially if you don't get Neighbors back right away, because there's another player who's coming off of an injury that we have heard nothing about. And I find that more concerning than updates of like, oh yeah, setback or making progress. Like, we've heard nothing out of the Neighbors camp. And
well, no, we did hear something that he didn't have his surgery for a couple months. It took a couple months to even have the surgery, which, I was referring to the week 4, week 5 timeline, but even have his surgery till week 12. Now we're looking, it's the same thing as tearing your ACL in week 12. So it's not a ringing endorsement on Malik Neighbors' availability to start the year, and that could be an issue all year. So I'm a big Malachi Fields guy. Even I didn't think he was going to go this high, but it makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you about Arvell Reese, though, because you made the point that he's going to play off-ball linebacker, which I hate to make this comparison, but Isaiah Simmons comes to mind as a guy who was a freak that didn't have a position and was always mismanaged and just never right. And Arvell Reese, I feel like it's an easier transition. He was kind of hybrid, like you said. He'd have an easier start to his career if he was just an edge rusher, but that's just not in the cards here in New York. But it was almost best player available. This talent is undeniable. We're going to take a shot at this guy and see if we can convert him and then just make him a thing at off-ball linebacker, which, man, if that's the case, why not just take Sonny Styles? Sonny Styles is better at that. I mean, already, we know that.
No, agreed. And I think Styles had the higher and safer floor. But as far as the ceiling goes, I feel like he was very much capped in that off-ball linebacker. The Simmons comp, like, I can kind of understand, but like, I don't feel like Reese is positionless. I feel like he was always a very good off-ball linebacker that developed an ability to rush the passer from the edge. We saw Simmons move around from linebacker to safety. I mean, they had him doing some nickel stuff, trying to cover tight ends. Like, he wasn't fast enough to do that. He was too big and bulky to try to cover slot receivers, wasn't rangy enough to cover, that free range, the free safety range. I mean, his best role, I think, was in like that robber role, that in the box style safety, almost like a linebacker. But another thing was like, he wasn't big enough to sustain linemen when they were releasing and getting their hands on him. So, I mean, like, I feel like he was a player that never had a position. And even in the NFL, like, Cardinals moved him all around. I mean, you never saw the guy in the same spot. But it wasn't because there was a plan for him.
Yeah, it's funny that he actually is positionless is usually a good term. This is a bad term, Isaiah Simmons. Or Arvell Reese, I'll say this. He oozes talent. Arvell Reese oozes talent.
It's years away, don't care. Jesus Christ. You ooze talent.
I don't know. I like the pick. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I guess you just take best player available. I would have just preferred Sonny Styles here. And, I do like the Giants draft. I love Malcolm Fields. Colton Hood is amazing. They're going to have their tackle of the future. So there's a lot of good stuff here. Jack Kelly, even out of BYU.
Yep. Linebacker.
If needed. So I would give it a B. I think it's a good draft. It's not exactly like, because it wasn't the positions they needed necessarily. Some were, some weren't.
Right.
But it's a good draft, and I like what they're doing with free agency as well. The Giants with Harbaugh, they have an adult in the room now. This is a solid spot with the Giants in a very winnable division. Would you say we're going to talk about the Eagles here? Actually, let's talk about the Eagles now. Your enemy. You're a Cowboys fan. If no one knows, he's a big Cowboys fan. Let's talk about the Eagles, who pretty much could be on this list every single year because the Eagles just dominate. Right, every year
he just does his thing.
What I like to say I do in fantasy drafts, and it's easy for me to do because I do 35 leagues, so I can just let value take. They're doing this when they have one draft, and Mekhi Lemon at 20, highway robbery. They traded up one spot to get him. Highway robbery. Stowers, I'm a big fan of. They re-signed Goddard, but Goddard is 33 years old, and this is a guy that they're going to play some heavy personnels. He is essentially a hybrid tight end wide receiver. Cole Payton, who, 5th round, this guy could be used in a Taysom Hill level capacity. And, Jalen Hurts, the noise is getting a little loud. Like, I'm not saying Cole Payton's the quarterback of the future, but as you know, I think Jalen Hurts is trash. Like, I think Jalen Hurts is a product of this team, this system, the talent around him. Cole Payton could be that. Not quite Jalen Hurts level, but like, this is a guy that could cover a lot of bases. He could play special teams. You could have some packages for him. He could be your second quarterback if they still have McKee, right? Is he still on the roster?
Yep.
I just love everything about this draft. It's mostly Mekhi Lemon, so they got their insurance for AJ Brown, and now they're still staying and win. This is the good example of what the Rams tried to do. They actually did because they're going to get a first round pick for AJ Brown, and they're not really downgrading too much with Lemon and Stowers. Like maybe a little bit of downgrade, but maybe an upgrade because you don't have to deal with AJ Brown's bullshit anymore. And Mekhi Lemon is just going to come in there. He's going to give some weird interviews and wear sunglasses and be weird. True. But he is something they have never had as an elite slot receiver. Because Devonta Smith, I feel like best profiles as a do-it-all kind of guy. He's going to line up in the slide. He's going to line up outside. And, I think his size is not an outside X receiver, but he can play it. He has a separation. No. He doesn't get destroyed by press man. So I just love what they did here, and also the Grenard trade. It's a third this year, a third next year. They had to pay him pretty good money, but they got themselves another, pretty much a replacement for Jalen Phillips. Like I just love what the Eagles did. And as a Cowboys fan, how are you feeling about what the Eagles did? Because it's a team in turmoil, but every year they still win 10 games, and it's just going to happen. It's going to happen again.
And that's the problem is the philosophy and the culture that they've built there is it's one that's very resilient. And that scheme that's in play, again, you talked about, Hurts is very much, in my mind as well, a product of that environment. And you've seen it when guys like Tanner McKee or Gardner Minshew step in for a 2 or 3 game stint. It's like that offense doesn't miss a beat. They're a very run-predicated offense. They keep investing in that offensive line, so they never lose that. Their running game is always potent, and they scheme up so well. And like you were kind of talking about, like they haven't had a bona fide slot receiver and one that can just tear you up across the middle. For the longest time, that was always their tight ends. And going back to Stowers, like he's definitely going to be utilized to an extent. I mean, you go back to the days of Zach Ertz when Trey Burton was scoring touchdowns for them. It's like they like to deploy multiple tight ends as well. And Stowers is a freak athlete. And I mean, I saw some draft analysis saying that he was more of a physical specimen and a better prospect than Kenyon Sadiq. And
they were right in Spark Score. They were both like right. Sadiq graded out better, but I feel like Stowers is a more pro-ready receiver.
Correct.
And I had Stowers ahead of Sadiq personally. I think Sadiq has more of an upside because Stowers will never be an inline tight end. It's never going to happen. He's 240. Sadiq is Vernon Davis, right? Which is a project, but he has the physical tools in terms of strength that Stowers doesn't have. So, like, if he figures out some of the technique stuff, the nice thing about Sadiq is it's not a will thing. It's not a want to. He wants to block. He just is too raw to block and hasn't been asked to do so. But day one impact, man. I know Stowers like comps is kind of a project type player. I don't think so, and this team's going to put him in the right positions. It would not surprise me to see them putting him out as sacrificial X receiver because he has that Mike Evans build, that Mike Evans mold. Doesn't have the ball skills of Mike Evans, but this dude is ready to ball and a great landing spot. Not so much for this year for fantasy, but he's going to be, in my mind, in that Isaiah Likely realm of a guy you want to roster. If Dallas Goedert, who's 33 years old, who has had some injury concerns, if he goes down, I think there's a chance to just hand this over to Eli Stowers, and he is just falling out by midseason. So I just like the real life pick and the fantasy pick there. And the Eagles, this is an A grade for me, man. The Lemon pick, like, I was a very, and we're going to talk about the Titans in a little bit. I did love the draft, but Arnold Tate went 4. Jordan Tyson, who I love, went 8. And I was a little like softer on him than most, but like those guys are all in a bucket for me. And actually I had Carl Tate behind all these guys. So the fact that he went 20th and these other guys went top 10 and Carl Tate went 4th overall, what are we doing? Like, no, they should all be early to mid teens with people that like Carl Tate. I'm sorry. Like they should all be 15, 14, 13, not 4, 8, 20. I want the guy at 20 because we don't know about any of these kids.
No, exactly. I mean, you've got Lemon, who projects as more of a underneath slot style guy. You've got Tate, who's got his explosive limitations, I'll say, to an extent, and then Tyson, who you go watch that 2024 film. I don't think there's a question that he's the best receiver that year of these 3. It's literally just the injury history and what's going to happen? How is that going to affect him? We haven't, outside of the light pro day stuff, like we didn't see a lot of physical testing from this guy. So it's like there are questions there.
Well, he did have a pro day, and I think 20 teams attended it. And right after that pro day, we don't know a lot that happened in that pro day, but I'm telling you, no one was talking about Jordan Tyson. Like, we're off the board, or even it was Lemon and it was Tate. After that pro day, it all switched. Everyone's like, Tyson's the number 1 guy off the board. And, whether that was real or not, and obviously it didn't happen. It didn't come to fruition because Tate got drafted at 4, which was a surprise. But he did something very well in that workout too. And it's hard. It's not because he alleviated the injury concerns. Like, yes, he's healthy now, but that wasn't the concern. The concern is, can he stay healthy in the NFL? But like something happened in that pro day. We don't know. Did he suck all these dudes' dicks or something? I have no clue. But whatever happened, literally it was like, to these teams, they're just like, okay, this guy is the real deal. The tape matches the physical prowess. He's bigger than we thought. He is 6'2". Doesn't look 6'2" on the field, but he is 6'2". He's a shiftier Keenan Allen. Not quite as big in terms of weight, but that was my comp for him, was a Keenan Allen type player.
I don't hate it.
Fly Guy says biggest joke is Kyler Murray in Minnesota. Now, the video game stuff aside, which this is a good call from Fly Guy. All Kyler wants to do is play Call of Duty. That is, I get you there, but it's they got him for less than $2 million a year. This is a hungry player that knows this is his last chance at money. A former first overall pick, a guy that was in the MVP discussion halfway through an NFL season, which is rare air. There's not many guys that have, and he's tiny. I understand his shortcomings. What else were they going to do? Like JJ McCarthy's dust. At least now that now they're sitting him down another year or two. They brought in Carson Wentz, who is just old and dusty. Like there's no other option. They didn't have the draft capital in this specific draft, especially. There's no one to take at 18. Like you're going to take Ty Simpson, who they wouldn't have gotten anyway. But like I like the Kyler. They had to give up nothing. They didn't trade for him. Like this is a great spot for Kyler Murray, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Kevin O'Connell. I am in on Kyler Murray this year in fantasy, 100%. If Fly Guy says trade for Mac Jones, the Niners price, the asking price was way too high for Mac Jones. 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
I love Mac Jones, but like the point is all these teams could have had Mac Jones for nothing and no one chose to take him. And you're going to, as much as he played well last year, name me a quarterback that hasn't played well under Kyle Shanahan. You can't. It doesn't exist. You can say the same thing about Kevin O'Connell, except for JJ McCarthy. That's the outlier.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And Max Brosmer, I guess. But like, go back to the Joshua Dobbs and like those guys always play well for Kevin O'Connell. But Kyle Shanahan you're going to look good under Kyle Shanahan, especially if you're a quick processor and you're accurate, which Mac Jones has always kind of been. It's the other stuff, right? It's some of the knucklehead decisions and then the lack of athleticism and arm strength.
No, I mean you've seen it across the board where like these quarterback whisperer coaches will get a hold of the Sam Darnolds, the Geno Smiths of the world, and just like they'll slow it down for him. Where like Mac Jones couldn't go through his progressions nearly as quick as he needed to when he was in New England, and it was a 1, maybe 2 read offense, and then he was checking down to the running back. Or the dude's not mobile, but like if he didn't see it, he would just tuck it and try to run. And Shanahan just kind of like put it in perspective for him of like, here's what you do. Just like narrowed that focus and thinking. And I mean, that's, if anything, I feel like, yes, the asking price was a bit high, and I wouldn't want to pay that to a guy that's probably just a very high tier backup quarterback in the league, where, if my starter goes down, I would love to have Mac Jones for 5, 6, 7 games. Like, yeah, he can hold it. He can hold down the fort. But for what you would have to pay for him, I could not get on board with that.
In a vacuum, who are you taking, Mac Jones or Kyler Murray for a 1-year contract? A reclamation project guy that could be the quarterback in the future, also lead you to the playoffs this year. Who are you choosing? Take aside the second-round pick and the contract. Who are you taking?
Yeah, no, in a vacuum, it's going to be Kyler just because the intangibles are there. And when Lamar Jackson was doing his thing as the mobile quarterback that didn't really develop his arm and throwing motion too much to that point, he was just a freak athlete out on the field. And it was Kyler Murray was like the closest comparable elusive quarterback in space, dynamic in the open field. He was the closest one to Lamar Jackson. Or
you throw in Russell Wilson too, right? Those two guys, not quite Lamar, but not quite Russell, because Russell was more of a smarter game manager. Here's the thing that we don't understand about Kyler Murray. It was bad the last couple of years, post ACL, all these things. What we're not realizing is he played on the Cardinals, bro. Like Drew Petzing, right? Like it was awful, and this franchise is terrible. And I'm not. Trust me, I make a lot of jokes about Kyler Murray, the work ethic stuff, the leadership stuff, and the height stuff, the inaccuracies, the ability to throw a dig route, all those things. A 1-year deal for free, essentially, is what's up. And let me ask you this, Tom. I'm a big Jalen Hurts hater. I would probably give the edge to Jalen Hurts because obviously he's won, but he's also been on the Eagles.
Right.
Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts, talent level at quarterback. Who's a better quarterback? Because the stats are eerily similar, my dude. If you take away the tush-push touchdowns, eerily similar. Kyler Murray, Blake, I know Blake is loving this because he sent this in the Discord. It's close.
I would probably give the edge to Kyler in his ability to make plays off script, and
exactly.
he can actually throw to the sidelines where that's I don't know what it is, but Hurts just any sort of outbreaking route. Like, unless it's going to A.J. Brown and he's going to make some miraculous outstretched toe tap, it's like those sideline throws are not accurate, where Kyler just kind of like, and part of it's due to his size, where he has to almost like get underneath people and throw around people. Like, you're getting that sidearm whip, and it's a low, tight ball, only where his guy can get it, where like Hurts is stringing these people out on the sidelines. So I feel like Kyler can make a little bit more nuanced throws throughout the game. Hurts is, as long as you keep it condensed for Hurts, he can do what's asked for you as long as you're not putting too much on his plate and you're giving him a very sufficient run game, where we've seen Kyler not have a running game to lean on and has still gotten it done.
Or he's never had an A.J. Brown. So Fly Guy, I'm not trying to pick on you. He says Hurts won a Super Bowl. The Eagles won a Super Bowl. And I'll say this. Jalen Hurts played elite in both Super Bowls he's been in. He actually outplayed Mahomes. Yeah. He was the best player on the field. It's the other stuff, right? It's the inconsistencies. It's the throwing behind guys, the lack of arm strength. And now he just lost his athleticism. I think the tush push has done a number on Jalen Hurts. Now, I'm still taking Jalen Hurts, but I think pure talent, Kyler has it. And that's crazy to say because Kyler Murray's fucking 5'9". Right. But he's also still 28 years old. Like, we've seen Sam Darnold, Geno Smith literally resurrected his career for 3 years, and he was 32 years old. Geno fucking Smith. Baker Mayfield, who's also a shorter quarterback, who was left for dead, practice squad, what was it, running back or whatever the hell he ever played, fullback. Baker Mayfield's like contending, making the Bucks a contending team. So Kyler Murray this is a perfect fit for Minnesota. I don't know how it's going to work with Kevin O'Connell's system. My only gripe with Kevin O'Connell is he can make the quarterbacks that fit his system good, like bad guys. Can he make a guy that doesn't fit his system? Can he adjust his system to somebody else? A shorter guy that is not going to be an on-time passer. That's the thing. That's the only thing. So I guess we're going to see. But the point is, super great deal. The Vikings had no choice. Like they're trying to win now. And this was their only option was Kyler Murray. It really was.
And if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to try to butcher it right now, but I saw some stuff on social media. The whole little triangle of Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, and Sam Darnold, just like all of their 3 landing spots and how they just keep overlapping. It's hilarious. You should look it up.
It's like a love triangle, right? They all just keep on passing this whore around, and everyone keeps on banging her, and they go back originally to the person that banged them first. And they're all passing SCDs together. It's pretty awesome. Jason, shout out Jason in the chat.
What up,
By the
Jason?
way, bro, I sent you an email, and it did not go through. I got the mailer demon. You said it was your name at Gmail, and I don't know. So if you want to send me an email, I will send it here in the chat, and you can email me or just go to the actual website and get the details there. But if you're interested in this dynasty spot or playing redrafts or just join the community, we'll get all that taken care of. Let's get a couple more comments in here before we go to our other winners of the draft.
Come get this dynasty smoke, Jason.
Yeah, he's going to be Tom's in the dynasty. He's going to get his ass kicked, but and here's the thing is there's still what we didn't mention is that they gave away Sam Darnold for nothing. And also they had Daniel Jones in that building too. So they chose JJ McCarthy based on him over Sam Darnold, who's not a Super Bowl MVP, but Super Bowl champion, and then Daniel Jones, who just got a pretty big contract and had his team 8-1, 8-2, 7-1, 8-2 before he got injured, and then he had a massive injury. So that is why that like the Kyler Murray thing is kind of the only option they had because you could not roll out JJ McCarthy one more year. No way. Darnold actually credits Purdy and the Niners for getting his confidence back. I mean, that's a spot. I think both these teams.
Yeah.
You want to go sit under. There's 3 guys: McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and Kevin O'Connell. In terms of being in the room and soaking up the information, especially for these former top picks that have the talents, that also had trial by fire, which there's something to be said about learning and getting your brains beaten in, right? Where a guy like Derek Carr, for instance, or not Derek Carr, David Carr, right? He never got that second chance because David Carr was more talented than Derek Carr. But he never had a chance with Houston, and that was the expansion team. What a mess that was. But all these guys are talented. That's why I'm clamoring for teams to take a shot on Will Levis. You get him for a 7th rounder. Anthony Richardson for a 6th rounder. Why the hell not? Why are we drafting Carson Beck in the 3rd round? Give me guys that are still 24 years old that were former first-round picks that have flamed out, and you get them for a 6th rounder. It's called good business, guys.
I mean, I know we were talking about Mac Jones earlier, but I mean, take these reclamation project style quarterbacks, send them to one of those 3 franchises, let them sit for a year or 2, go trade for them. Go get yourself a quarterback that just got fixed. I mean, we've seen it time after time with these last 3 or 4 quarterbacks that we've been talking about. It's like, get some of that knowledge and information from those top tier coaches and then go play, go win.
JD, I'm going to have to disagree with you. Vikings weren't Super Bowl ready like the Seahawks were last year, so I'm not really dumb for that. The Vikings won 14 games 2 years ago, and they were in that essentially that play-in game for the number 1 seed against the Lions where, Sam Darnold did shit the bed, but they were 1 game away from winning 15 games. Like, if that's not Super Bowl ready with Brian Flores running that defense and Kevin O'Connell running that offense, like, I don't know what Super Bowl ready is because they were much more Super Bowl ready than the Seahawks were, if you think about it. And the Seahawks hit on their draft, right? 2 straight drafts. And I don't know. Better roster. Obviously, now we're going to say the Seahawks is what transpired. But going into last year, there's a reason that the Vikings had a higher win total over under in Vegas than the Seahawks. The Seahawks were 7.5. And I believe the Vikings were 9.5. So,
I mean, you lay it out across the board. Offensively, I think you just, going back a little bit, when the Vikings had their very good year, the receivers probably out-edge those in Seattle. The running back game was probably a little comparable. Maybe you give the edge to Seattle if you've got a healthy Walker and Charbonnet. But, a few years ago, Aaron Jones wasn't a slouch. And, again, Brian Flores just gets the most out of his defensive players. Seattle very much heavily invested into that defense, fortified it, and you saw the results. But I would almost argue that Vikings team was more Super Bowl ready than the Seahawks were last year. Obviously, they got hot, caught fire when they needed to, but just on paper.
Purdy taught Darnold to play like a point guard, that's when Brock Purdy's at his best. Sometimes he gets a little enamored with playing superhero. And that's where you see those 3-pick games. I want to reference that crazy Carolina game he had last year. That was also injury related. But what's your takes on Brock Purdy? Because I have a current ticket of Brock Purdy 20-1 to win MVP, which I absolutely love. Now this is predicated on they have to win 12 games. That's the way the MVP works. You can't win 10 games and win MVP unless you throw 50 touchdowns, which is not going to happen. But tough division, but it's Kyle Shanahan, it's Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy played the last 5 games last year of the regular season and that playoff game against the Eagles like an MVP.
No, I think Purdy's got all of the characteristics. It's just putting it together and letting that sustain over a full season. You've got a good enough surrounding cast with him. And like you said, when he gets in that pocket of he's just not thinking too much, not trying to do too much, just distribute, that's when he's at his best. That defense needs to get, I think, a little bit better for them to win 12 games and get him in that MVP race. But at the same time, they finished third in their division. They're going to have a third-place schedule. So you do have that going for you.
That is very true. Mac Jones is 25 and healthy. He is. But he's also still Mac Jones. I will say this. Mac Jones showed me, the warrior mentality last year. That was one of the best examples I've ever seen. Specifically that game, I think it was against the Rams, when he would he kept on getting crunched. He couldn't walk. And he just came out there, finished the game. And I love Mac Jones. His courage is amazing. I think he deserves a shot. But I understand why, after last year, and Brock Purdy has not been the mark of health. He plays pretty tough. He's a really small guy, though. Really big lower body, but not a big guy. And why not? I feel like they could win a Super Bowl with Mac Jones, right? I feel like when I was saying, Ty Simpson as a rookie, the Rams are not winning a Super Bowl with Ty Simpson. Mac Jones could lead you there because Kyle Shanahan is that level of coach, and the roster is still above average, but that system is there. That's why they're not doing it. They wouldn't do it for a third rounder. I think that's the take, right?
Yeah.
Defense was way better. Let's see. Let's get a couple more questions. We had to get to a couple more teams here. The Vikings defense also just kind of went to shit last year, though. I don't know what that was. But you saw at the end of the year, remember that game against the Lions when the Lions needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive? And they scored 6 points.
Stifled them? Yeah.
Brian Flores had 5 turnovers.
Brian Flores was just playing 4D chess, and he was 2 steps ahead every way. And that's what you get out of a coach like Brian Flores, where the infrastructure of that team with KOC and Brian Flores running it, you're going to elevate good players to great players. And, I feel like they're going to miss Grenard a little bit, just that screaming presence off the edge. But at the same time, I feel like Flores is just going to mix up his scheme so much to the point where, he's going to manufacture pressure.
Jason, we did approve that trade. We liked it. The Kyle Pitts for a first rounder and then Travis Hunter for a third. The Travis Hunter one's the one I'm a little questionable about just because you're not going to get anything right now, but they could convert him back to wide receiver, which would be a smash for a third round pick for the other guy. Trey McBride's sitting there for auction. I don't understand how that works. Someone dropped out of your league or something. If that's the case, I would almost throw everything on Trey McBride. Tight end premium league, why the hell not? It's essentially the best player in fantasy, right? Tight end premium.
Yeah, I don't know what your tight end situation looks like, but unless you're sitting on a Bowers or maybe a Warren or Loveland where you don't necessarily need to invest that much into it, I'd be throwing the bag at McBride.
Well, tight end premium, though, you almost want, if you have an elite-ish guy, which Trey McBride's beyond elite, you want to start 2 tight ends in a flex. You want it because it's 1.5 for a reception.
Yeah,
100 catches. That's the equivalent of a wide receiver having 150 catches. It's just free money.
Yeah, for sure.
Dar says Tua needs to retire. Yeah, he should have retired a couple years ago, man.
Yeah, that's a very interesting scenario that they got going on over there in Atlanta. And is Penix going to be healthy? Is he going to stay healthy? Is Tua going to be healthy? Is he going to stay healthy? I mean, I think one way or the other, you're going to be almost out of necessity looking at a Dolphin-style offense from the past couple of years where it's just going to be get the ball, get it out quick. And it's going to play well to guys like Zachariah Branch and get London the ball early. Pitts, same thing, just get guys in space. But at the same time, it's just a very mundane way to try to play the game. And unless you've got a mastermind helping pick apart defenses, like they're going to struggle one way or the other.
Jason, I tried that email. I tried like every combination with your name. So, I mean, I could try it again. It's going to be the same thing I already sent. So just email me. Look in the chat and just I put it in there. CubsFan311@yahoo.com. Anyone else wants to email me, shoot me a line and get your ass in the Discord and join the community. So that's the best way to go. Or just go to the website. That's also another option. Dakota, I can't wait for this draft. So many ballers. I'm just a scrub. Dakota, you're not a scrub. You know ball as much as any of us know ball. Mouth probably knows the most ball. But besides him, me and Storey would be dangerous, but you and Nick O are elites. Chaz has been playing Dynasty for a long time. So, and then all the other 9 OGs of the channel, it's going to be a very competitive league. 14 teams, dude. 14-team league is in the deep rosters. Like, yeah. We're all at risk of an injury or two just ruining the season. So, like, unless you draft perfectly, there's going to be no waiver wire essentially because you're going to be picking up like Jermaine Burton on waivers who doesn't have a team. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I can't wait. Fly Guy says, I'm excited to see Walker in KC. The report came out today. They're going to lean heavily on the run early in the year, which we all knew.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. Kenneth Walker or Saquon Barkley? This is a tough one because in full PPR, because I think Saquon Barkley is probably the easy answer, but Kenneth Walker, with what he showed in the playoffs and just his skill set, tied to the Chiefs' offense, if Mahomes come back healthy, Barkley's the floor play. Is Walker the upside play? Even though Saquon Barkley's coming off 1 year removed from the best season we've seen, it's wild.
Again, though, it was the volume mixed with the insane efficiency and still falling into the end zone X amount of times, double-digit times, with that tush push being such a dangerous factor. In full PPR, I want to say it's Walker, just the way that you've seen him develop from a guy that didn't catch passes in college, and there was like the Jadarian Price, concerns. It's like we never saw this guy catch passes. I think he caught like 15 or 16 passes his last year at Michigan State, and he's developed into a very dangerous receiver. Andy Reid has always very much leaned on that one bell cow running back, and I feel like out of necessity these last couple of years, because he didn't have a guy that could do it all, he's had to manufacture it with the Brashard Smiths, Pacheco's, just, mixing up guys to essentially get it all done. And if Andy Reid goes back to his old ways where he just wants to invest heavily into one running back, I think Kenneth Walker is going to blow it out of the water.
Same. And, I love Emmett Johnson. That's a nice pick in the 5th round. But, Brashard Smith couldn't see the field last year with pretty much no talent on that roster. And he was a rookie. This is Kenneth Walker's backfield. Amari DiMarcado, come on, man. The guy can't even hold on to the ball. He's terrible. James wants to know if either of us are Jewish. Are you Jewish, Tom?
I am not. But oddly enough, my sister calls me Jewish. Don't know why. I don't think it's my nose.
I kind of have a big nose. But and not to get too racist with it, but I am not Jewish. Nothing against the people of the Jewish faith. You know what? They control Hollywood, and they're very smart, and they're very, very, they're not good tippers.
Simple Jack, the story of a mentally impaired farmhand who can talk to animals, was a box office disaster that many critics called one of the worst movies of all time.
Got a good brain.
I think you've got a fine brain, Jack.
You make me happy.
But now the question is, can speed...
This one might be a little better. I think I played the wrong clip. This one's a little better. Here we go.
Jeez, look at those two. They're going at each other like an Italian guy and a black woman. Hey, you can't park here.
Excuse me? Having been officially challenged by her natural enemy, the black female prepares for combat by taking off her many rings. Meanwhile, the Italian male looks around to make sure the other Italian males are indeed seeing what he is seeing. Sensing the impending battle, a flock of Jews flies quickly away, as avoiding confrontation is their best chance for survival.
Exactly. Jason thought Jacoby Brissett did a better job than Kyler. I think he's a solid quarterback. McBride's a contract ran out. It's 1 to 4 year contracts for his league. Brissett definitely ran the offense better. It was essentially a professional offense, but they won 1 game under Jacoby Brissett. And I think that that was a toxic situation, right? We saw that's my Marvin Harrison take. That's why I love Marvin Harrison. Like, this is also an anti-Kyler argument. Marvin Harrison just was like, I don't want to play with this clown who's not putting the work in. Kyler didn't want to play for the coach. It was just a messy situation. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying, like, that would make sense because the level of player Marvin Harrison was prospect. Curry is talented, and the fact that it didn't work, and then you see Jacoby Brissett come in there and they're putting up points again. Like, I love Jacoby Brissett, but how did it go? How did it go the year prior with the Patriots? It was awful, like so bad. As much as I love Drake May, it shouldn't have been that big of a jump from Brissett to Drake May. Brissett's fine. I just feel like that was a dysfunctional situation, and if Kyler can't make this work, he's never getting paid again. He's never making anything near a max contract. And I wouldn't pay him if he has a good year this year. I wouldn't pay him because he might go back to the old Kyler, the video game Kyler, the non-leader Kyler. But this is a good spot for Minnesota. I don't know how you could say it's not. And Justin Jefferson, what do you think about Justin Jefferson? Top 10 pick, top 12 pick right now in best ball. Not top 10 receiver, top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Is that fair? I think that's too aggressive after what we saw last year.
Yeah, that's a bit rich for me. I mean, I can understand the upside swing end of the first, early second, but I mean, I think you're really kind of drafting him at his ceiling, and you're hoping that Kyler can reclaim some of that magic that he had. And to be fair, we haven't seen him with a receiver of this level since he had DeAndre Hopkins. So, there is
that worked for 1 year too. That was really good for 1 year. Really
there is a data point that can lead to some success there.
All right, let's get back to we took a little break here from our winners and losers of the draft. Let's go to one of my winners. Actually, you're up next with the Cleveland Browns, Tom. You love what the Browns did. Spencer Fanu, what's up with that? Love that pick. Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston back-to-back. I'm not the biggest Boston fan. I love KC. And then the rest of the draft, Joe Royer's solid. Like, they got some good players and a lot of picks. They didn't have a lot of whiffs.
No, and that was the thing was I feel like across the board, they kind of they hit consistently solid value throughout. The Spencer Fano pick I liked, and then I was a little kind of confused when I heard that they were going to stick him at left tackle. And, I think he's got the versatility to do that and shift over kind of in like a Rashawn Slater type mold. I feel like he was a very comparable player to Slater and just his athleticism and his ability to play both sides of the ball. I would have wanted to see him maybe kick inside, but, I'm not on a NFL coaching staff, so I don't get to make those decisions. But again, I like Fano, the player, and I think he's going to go a good ways into helping them fortify this offensive line. Something I thought that was kind of funny was the way when they went through free agency, it was a lot of like gap blocking, like a bunch of guys that were just maulers in the run game. And everybody that they drafted as far as linemen went are a little bit more zone friendly guys that do a little bit better pulling, getting out in space. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to look. But again, like across the board, I think they made big steps into improving their offensive line. The Boston pick and then the KC Concepcion pick, I think they're going to complement each other very well. I mean, I don't necessarily know how much Judy's got left, if he's got anything left there. It kind of feels like he's on his way out with the new coaching staff.
Yeah.
But Boston's
just he's it was such a bad. The film he put out last year was atrocious. Not even just the drop stuff. It was real bad. Like I didn't see him lay one block on something. Like he was just not even talking about not interested. He was just like not having it. Like it was like
out there making.
But like Jerry Judy's not George Pickens.
No, the guy was just out there collecting a paycheck. But I feel like
Exactly.
This is something that the Browns haven't had in a while, is just a big physical X receiver, and that's what Boston's going to be. You know, he's going to be that jump ball end zone guy, and I feel like his blocking is what's going to get him onto the field early, just because he is a sizable freak. The route running is not super smooth, leaves a little bit to be desired, but like that's what you're getting in Concepcion, where you're going to have him work a little bit more underneath, you know, quick outs, get him the ball, get him in space. And again, there's another piece that I feel like they've been missing for a little while. And when me and one of my buddies were talking, and we were both just simultaneously watching KC Concepcion film, and we pretty much settled on the comparison of he's a bigger Zay Flowers. And I feel like in this style of offense, and for whoever they're going to roll out there at quarterback, it's going to be a quarterback-friendly option, because I don't think any of the quarterbacks that they have there are going to, you know, lean towards any sort of like high IQ scheme play. I mean, Watson's probably got the best chance, but like you're not going to ask any of these quarterbacks to do too much. Get these guys the ball in space. You've got Boston as a big jump ball guy, so like I feel like they made this offense relatively quarterback-friendly. And on the topic of quarterbacks, just if it comes available in the next fantasy season, Taylon Green, not a great thrower of the ball per se, and probably going to be in over his head as far as like a full-blown NFL offense, but the dude's athletic as hell, and he will be fantasy relevant off of his mobility alone. So if
all these guys are always fantasy relevant with those skills. I comp Taylon Green to a more athletic Vince Young. And then to speak on your KC Concepcion take, my high-end comp, this is a low chance. High-end comp for Concepcion was Odell Beckham Jr. for me. Unfortunately, my low end is Kadarius Toney. So this is a prospect that could be, and you know, Kadarius Toney had a nice 6-game stretch with the Giants ways back. Yeah. But you remember when Toney lined up offsides and the Chiefs and cost him that game?
Oh yeah,
that's a microcosm of Kadarius Toney's career. Dakota thinks Green's a wide receiver. I don't know, man. It's 6th-round pick was a good take there. Also, Austin Barber at pick 86, dude. I love that. So what I love about this draft is they didn't get cute. Now you can say they got cute with 2 receivers, but they needed 2 receivers. They want to with Short Sanders, or if it's Deshaun Watson. And mostly I love this for Quinshon Judkins. Right, you have some maulers up front now, and Quinshon Judkins is a real man, a guy I didn't like last year, even before the stupid fucking drama with the domestic stuff, which ended up being nothing. Mm-hmm. But I am a big fan of Quinshon Judkins as a workhorse running back, and like they have to cover up their even if they have the playmakers, the rookies, they got to cover up their quarterback, whoever it is. Quinshon Judkins with that defense, there's gonna be a lot of close games, a lot of weather games. This is a guy that's going to carry 23, 24 times a game when they can, and that's the best way they have to win games. And I think that the Browns have been bad for so long. You know, other teams are talking about with the Dolphins and the Cardinals that have no shot and they need that quarterback. The Browns are they want to win. Like, and not saying they're going to win, but that division's more winnable than some of the other divisions. And there's no Buffalo or no, you know, Rams in this division. And they want to give their fans something. And you know what? This is a team that could be scrappy 6, 7, 8 wins. And at least when they lose games, they're not going to get blown out. It's not going to be what we saw the Cardinals last year. When in the second quarter, Cardinals are down 35-7. Like, we saw that 3 times. Browns are a proud team. Myles Garrett's there. They paid him. I love this for Quinshon Judkins, and I like this draft, man. I'm giving this draft a B+. And then back-to-back good drafts, too.
Across the board in that division, you give them health. You know, health is not a factor. Injuries aren't a factor. Why don't the Browns finish 3rd above the Steelers?
I think the talent level is pretty close. I did kind of like what the Steelers did, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Let's move on to my number 2. Tennessee Titans, man. And this is crazy because I was the biggest anti-Cardinal take guy. I think this is a bad pick. I think it's way too early. I had him as a 2nd-round graded player. You know about this, Tom. You kind of liked him. But it's everything else. Keldrick Folk. Go ahead. Go ahead about Tate.
No, I mean, I liked enough of Tate's game where if he fit into the right system, it was going to be good. Where, like, I felt like he would have been a fine pick for Tampa Bay. to step in as that Mike Evans type, where you're going to be a bigger physical presence on the outside, a little bit deeper of an A-dot, but like they've got the scheme in place. They've got the quarterback that can get them the ball. Cam Ward was one of the worst deep ball throwers last year. And like, unless you're hitting Tate in the intermediate range, like he's not really a big yak guy. I mean, he wins downfield. And if Cam Ward can't get him the ball on those deep shots, like, is he going to be invisible? Are they going to try to scheme him open? Like, Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be their underneath guy, and he's going to be the one that's soaking up targets. And I think, honestly, like, I think the Tate draft pick just makes Wan'Dale Robinson better.
Yeah, I don't hate the landing spot. I just don't like the player that much, but this is an ideal landing spot. Just too early. This is the Marvin Harrison pick, right? 4th overall. This is for all-time talents, which he is most certainly not. But outside of that, I do like the fact that they're going to see what they have, and they're going to have a nice marriage there between him and Cam Ward. But Keldrick Falk, Anthony Hill is probably my favorite pick of the draft out of Texas. This dude is going to come right in with Robert Saleh and just be that fucking leader of the defense. And then Nick Singleton, we talked about at the start of the show. We love this pick. So they hit on 3 home runs there. Keldrick Falk is a pro-ready dude. And actually, Keldrick Falk has a message for us. Here it is. Keldrick Falk.
How would you describe it?
I don't even know how to feel right now. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm happy.
I'm going to Disneyland.
He's happy. Oh, you can't go wrong with that. So I love this draft, man. And the Titans, besides the fact that the draft is great, I love the fact that they don't really have a real head coach because Saleh and Dable are not head coaches, but combined, they can equal to a head coach. They're going to, give offense is Dable, defense is Saleh. They'll have someone else in there helping out with the head coaching duties. This is not a win now situation, but it's a winnable division. And just the picks they had, I don't have, besides the Carnell Tate pick, which I feel like he's a very high floor player. I just question the upside. I like every pick they made, and this is their team going in the right direction.
So I overheard something the other day on a podcast, and it kind of just got me thinking as far as like where Tennessee's at as a franchise, so on and so forth. And if they were to end up with the number 1 pick next year, because as hopeful as this team could be, they could also be very bad. If they end up with the number 1 pick, do they draft quarterback? Do they pull the plug on Ward?
I think it depends how Ward looks, right? But because if you trade Ward, you're going to get like a 3rd rounder if he looks terrible at best.
Right.
That's pretty much admitting defeats, which I like Cam Ward. I wouldn't do it. You could trade out of that pick and do essentially give Cam Ward 1 more year and do what the Bears did, right? And then I know the next quarterback class won't be as good. There's still gonna be one guy that's worthwhile, and then you trade out, you build your roster from the ground up. And I don't think that's a possibility, though. I think this team is too good to be in that top 3. There's some bad teams out there, man, and specifically, it's gonna be the Dolphins, who have 4.5 win total, and they have nothing. They had a good draft. They did like the Dolphins draft, but it's all defense. Their offense can be terrible. And then
they're prepping for
the Cardinals.
The
Cardinals just have a messy situation.
Oh yeah,
in that division alone. Even if they were better than they are, that division's so tough. Like, and there's gonna be a sneaky team that has a year from hell. A team that has a 7 win total just gets injured and just tanks. So they're not going to be in that running. But there is possibly 4 or 5, top 10. It could be similar to the draft we saw with Caleb and Jaden Daniels and Drake May. But I think they stick with what they have. We got to get to your next pick real quick. Guys, anyone interested in the Dynasty League, I'm going to keep on calling it out. Sunday's the deadline to fill the Dynasty League. We have 13 people. It's a 14-man league. Join the community. Join the Dynasty League. First league of its kind. First Fanatics League. It's for life. This is it's like the Avatar thing. When you mate, it's for life. And mate with us, man. Mate with me. And if you really want to mate with me, give me my address, and my wife will film, or she'll be involved, whatever you guys want. Professionalfanatics.com. Go to the link in the description. Check it out. Get on board with the community. All these guys you see in here every night. You know the guys. Dakota. We got Mouth. We got Blake. I see a lot of you other guys in here that aren't in the community, like Jar Jar. You've been in here for a long time. JD, you've been in here for a long time. There's a bunch of you guys get in now because especially if you sports bet, you're going to make your money back just based on winning money on all of the badass bets and fantasy. We're going to dominate fantasy this year, as we do every year, Tom. Now we have Tom in the fold. Nick O's back this year, the best host in the business. 7 nights a week, gentlemen. I am grinding on this show. I'm also on Grindr. You can try to search my profile. I'm wearing a mask, though. You still see my belly. I don't get a lot of hits. I don't know why. Maybe I need to take off the mask.
I've seen that photo.
You've seen that photo. Anyways, Jason, you as well. If you want to email me, shoot me a message tonight, and we'll get you in there. And if you want to play in the Dynasty, especially, it's only $100 for the Dynasty League, but it's 14 teams, so the payout's gonna be decent. We are doing like 6 redraft leagues, so that's gonna start filling up here soon. Get in now. Next team for you have the Saints as winners. Tom, I have to take a tinkle, so give me your Saints take on why you love the Saints draft.
So, starts with a place that was near and dear to my heart, and Kellen Moore, who is obviously now the head coach. And obviously, the Saints needed another receiver outside of Olave. I mean, they've got a couple of other guys there, but I mean, the Devon Valeys of the world aren't going to elevate your team. So, insert Jordan Tyson. Rob and I have talked about it as far as just athletically the most gifted receiver in this draft. And he is going to shift between outside and inside. And once he slides into the slot, I think that's where you're going to see him shine because Kellen Moore gets the most out of his slot receivers, and it's not even close. I mean, you've seen it with CeeDee Lamb when his production was through the roof. 75% of his routes were run from the slot that year, and, I mean, dude was just electric. Goes to LA Chargers and revitalizes and just gets massive production out of Keenan Allen. And even with the Eagles, whoever they were shifting into the slot, whether that be A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, just flexing out a tight end into the slot. Like, Kellen Moore gets the most out of his slot receivers, and I think Jordan Tyson is just going to feast there. Christian Miller, D-tackle out of Georgia. Dude's a 320-pound just garbage can full of dirt. I mean, you can't move the guy. He doesn't go backwards. And he gives you a little bit more pass rush than I think you would expect from just a D-tackle that size. Staying with Georgia, Delp, I mean, just he's going to be an inline guy for him, but I think he's going to pair well with Juwan Johnson and potentially take over. He develops a little bit more receiving chops, and he should be good. Scrolling down to the Bryce Lance pick. I mean, it's a little bit of a flyer, but like I feel like in this system and with what Chuck showed last year, it gave them enough reassurance to the point where like he can execute Kellen Moore's offense. And I feel like Lance is just kind of a little bit of a wild card that can kind of do it all. I mean, he's got good size. Like all the receivers across the board there have surprisingly good size. Kellen Moore likes to be multiple in that vein of it and likes to be multiple and just attacking a bunch of different ways. And I feel like Bryce Lance just gives them a very versatile weapon that can just aid in that. And then they got the guard out of Auburn, right, which, again, he's every stop that Kellen Moore's been at, heavy run game predication is always like the foundation of his game. And whether that be Dallas, Philly, Chargers, like that's what the passing game builds off of. And that's just what opens up Kellen Moore's offense. And obviously getting ETN in that role is going to help there as well, because if they didn't sign somebody in free agency, like this wasn't the draft to get, a bell cow type back in. So I really like what the Saints have done throughout. And even in some of their later round picks, Lorenzo Styles out of Ohio State, Sonny Styles' younger brother.
Fucking combine hero, man. How did he fall to the fifth round? Right? Fifth round, right?
Yeah, fifth round. I mean, dude, he ran sub 4.3. I mean, just
fifth round, yeah.
Yeah,
Wild.
Fifth round. Sub 4.3. I mean, dude he put on a clinic at the combine, him and his brother both. And it might not be, I mean, he's probably going to be like a special teams guy to start, but like I could easily see this guy being a Pro Bowler here in 2 to 3 years. Just that defense is going to be attacked, and it's going to give him a lot of opportunity to just make play after play with that closing speed. Very, very.
What do you think about Jordan Tyson's fantasy outlook? So, Chris Olave has been falling in these best ball drafts. I don't think it affects him too much, but this is a boom for Tyler Shuck, and I love what they did here because they have to figure out what Tyler Shuck is. And a lot of people are anointing him as like the future, and like I love Tyler Shuck coming out.
Yeah.
But I'm not sold, right? He's a second round pick. I'm not sold as he's a franchise guy. And if he can't get it done this year with, Oscar Delp is a nice compliment to Juwan Johnson, like you mentioned. And Jordan Tyson, if he stays in the field, is a 1. He is a 1 in the NFL. Yeah. And Chris Olave is clearly a 1. So this is a nice system with Kellen Moore, who is just, he is going to be maybe in 3 years, if it continues to go this way, talked about in the same breath as the elite, not head coach, but elite coordinators, which we're looking for as a marriage with the quarterback. So they're going to see this year if Tyler Shuck cannot succeed and takes a step back, then they're moving off of Tyler Shuck and they can just trade up next year and get that elite quarterback because that, they'll have, let's say, the 12th pick. They can move up to 4, something like that. Yeah. So what do you think about Jordan Tyson? So Jordan Tyson versus Carnell Tate in fantasy this year. Is it Tate by a mile for you?
Honestly, I lean more Tyson, partially because of what I said with the inaccuracy of Cam Ward's deep ball and just where Tate is expected to win and the role that he's going to play. He's got that deeper ADOT, so like just naturally you're not going to be Alec Pierce. You're not going to catch whatever his percentage was. It was something just astronomically high. I mean, those are not the consistent high volume targets that you get or high percentage catches that you get. So I think that's going to hinder Tate. And in the same light as Dallas, right? How you have Pickens and Lamb and they operate in completely different aspects of the field and one opens up the other. Olave stretches the field. Olave is going to get his shots. He's going to get his chunk plays. And that's just going to free up room for Tyson to operate underneath and just soak up targets. I mean, again, Juwan Johnson, very solid player that has made a very nice career for himself over his time in the league. But when you've got somebody dynamic like Tyson, as long as he can stay healthy, I mean, you're going to be pinning their team's number 2, number 3 corners against him. I mean, you're going to be playing teams nickels. Athletically alone, I think Tyson's good enough to, beat a safety in man-to-man coverage.
I'm still taking Tate. It's crazy because I fucking hate Tate, but give me the pure number 1. Chris Olave is going to demand too many targets, man. And I don't trust Tyler Shuck as much as most.
No, I mean, that's very understandable. And I think what the difference will be is Tate's got the touchdown upside where you might not have that with Tyson, but I feel like the volume for Tyson and then just the simplicity of getting Tyson the ball versus getting Tate the ball. I very much agree with what you're saying. Tate probably has the higher ceiling, but I feel like Tyson's got the safer floor. PPR, of course. We're not animals.
I would agree. I just love Jordan Tyson. All right, buddy. We did 2 hours. Great show as always. Good to have you back, man. And can't wait for most Fridays. You're going to see Tom during the lead up to the season, then obviously during the regular season. Friday nights, Tom talking ball. This guy, you're how old? 30 years old? You're a young man, right?
30
something. 30. Young 30. Man. You remind me of a 50-year-old though. It's wild. You know ball almost as much as I do. I'm just kidding. You know X's and O's more than I do. I'll give you that. But you're awesome. I'm going to stick around and answer the rest of the questions. I don't want to keep you too long. Appreciate your 2 hours as always, and hopefully I see you soon, my dude.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Always a great time.
All Jason, right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Jason, I'm looking at you. I don't know you, but we've got beef now. Get in the Dynasty League.
I can't find a way to email you. I just said it's CubsFan311 at Yahoo. I don't, that's not like, I don't know. I sent you an email. You don't have to give up because you can actually just go over to the Patreon. It's super easy. It's in the description of this video and that's how you can get in. So, that's my email. And if you're just fucking with me, that's fine. Like, congratulations. I'm trying to host a show here. It's not that hard. It's a valid email. Appreciate you, Tom. I'll talk to you soon.
Take
It's very easy, and a lot of other people, including 30 people, have joined just based on the Patreon thing. But you can also just, like I said, you can, this guy's, okay, Jason. I answered your question in like 10 minutes in your Dynasty question. Appreciate you, man. Not understanding how emails work. Are you from fucking Germany, bro? Although Germans, I think, are pretty good with the internet, but yeah, it's not really hard. It's literally Cubs fan 311, one word, at Yahoo. It's a valid email. I've been using it since I was 16 years old. And the email you sent me didn't work. And I'm telling you, it didn't work. So I'm not playing anyone for a fool here. So I'm going to get to the rest of these questions here before I log off. And there's a lot to get to. Where are we at? I don't know how he'll drop to 60. I thought I had him as like a early second round pick. So wild pick, great pick for the Titans. He does sound like Bertie Mac. That is Keldrick Falk. I'm going to play it again because I just love this fucking clip, man. This is amazing. Here it is. Here it is.
How would you describe it?
I don't even know how to feel right now. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm happy.
Jason, not making you sound like an idiot, man. I sent you said it was your name. I did the name, the numbers, all that kind of stuff didn't go through. I gave you my email. You're saying it doesn't go through. It's not that hard. There's also a very easy option just to go on the link in the description, which everyone else has done. You're making me seem like an idiot because I'm trying to host a show, just so you know. And there's a lot going on here. Just, I don't have a producer. This is all me. So it is difficult enough. I'm trying to maneuver this whole situation. Get people in the community, all that kind of stuff. So if I meant no disrespect, my dude. So just it's not as hard as I think we're making it out to be. I gave you my email, or you can just, like I said, link in the description. There's a link. You click on it, boom, and then you get right in. You get into the community. So if you want to still, I'd love to have you. If not, no hard feelings, my dude, at all. I love Cam Ward-Hetzer. But the film was not great last year, but it was much better than what we saw from Will Levis in a similarly shitty situation. So I have a lot of hope for Cam Ward. Let's see where are we at here. Carnell Tate seems like a solid X receiver. Why the NFL world shit on him so bad? Well, they didn't shit on him, Dragon, because he went 4th overall in the draft. So quite the opposite of shitting on him. Dragon says Germans and Jews brought up in the same unrelated podcast. Well, that's what you're going to get in the show. No ill will towards any of those people. Don't want to get in the wrong side of the Germans because they can be very angry. I have a buddy I play Xbox with. He's German, and he's quite the angry fella. The NFL did not shit on Carnell Tate because he was the first receiver off the board 4th overall. I shit on Carnell Tate personally because I'm not a fan of him, but I'm a fan of his landing spot. I'll say that. Let's see. Colin Moore was always a coach. Good call, Darth. Seemed like a coach in waiting, right? And you know what? It's looking pretty good. The first half of the year was a little rough, but it got a lot better. Okay, Jason. Well, I answered a lot of your questions, so you're welcome to watch and you're welcome to keep on commenting. But you kind of just made a whole situation of something that shouldn't have been a situation, and now you're trying to make me look like a fool. So congratulations on that, my dude. Just so you know, anyone else in here, copy and paste my email and email me, and I guarantee it goes through. CubsFan311 at Yahoo. So, again, that's my email. I've been giving it out for about 22 years now. So, I don't know what your deal is, brother. All these comments about the fucking email, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Jar Jar, my family's German heritage. My brother married a Jew. I did not say anything disparaging about either of those people, just so you know. And if I did, it kind of seems like, kind of in a Family Guy light. I didn't say anything negative. Now, the history of the German people is very interesting, but there you go, Hetzer. Please, Rob, I'll email you a picture of my taint if you want. Do it. Any picture, anything, just do it. Because my email is still working. I have it up right now. It is still working, guys. I think. I don't know. I haven't had one since 10:30. So there's been an hour I haven't had an email. No spam or anything like that. So Thank you, Dragon. If you did, it might have been the truth. What's going on, Faded? It's been a while. Haven't been on here a while. How we feel about the draft? Man, there's about 50 hours or 80 hours of content this month you can go through. That would be a lot of work, though. I wouldn't want you to do that. Jar Jar, you're good, man. I made Jewish jokes all the time. Well, they're fun. I mean, making fun of all people is fun. Like, I make fun of white people all the time because we're really easy to make fun of. And, you know, I am white. I'm very white, if you didn't notice. And stereotypes are fun to make fun of, as long as you're not taking individual shots at individual people. That's where the things go wrong, when you're taking shots at someone specifically for being, you know, of a certain descent. That's where it goes wrong. If you want to just rip on a whole group of people, like Asians being bad at driving, funny fucking joke. White people, like the white guys being frat boys, that's funny. What do we think about the Steelers picks? Well, you know, there's gonna be some mixed reviews here. Dakota hates Drew Aller. I kind of like Drew Aller in the 3rd round. I really don't hate it. In general, the Steelers offseason, Michael Pittman, they're kind of toiling in what's the word? Anonymity. Anyways, they're average. They're average. And Aaron Rodgers has to come back. They're going to make the playoffs, win 9 games, most likely, and lose in the 1st round. That's what I am predicting for the Steelers. That's what they do. Hetzer hates Drew Aller. A lot of people hate Drew Aller, man. That is the yeah, Drew Aller is a 2-year project, I'd say. 2 to 3 year project. He's the youngest quarterback in the draft. Same level of project as Taylor Green. And at least he has the tools, where I have issues with. Now, Nussmeier in the 7th round I loved, but I have issues with the Carson Beck and Cade Klubnik picks. Like, those dudes are they're projects and they're bad, where Drew Aller is, yeah, he's bad, but there's upside there. The arm talent is undeniable. The body type, all that kind of stuff. The archetype is real. So I have no issues with the Drew Aller pick, but it's if you're going to draft him to play this year, that's a major issue, because that dude is not ready to play this year. Definitely not on a team like the Steelers. Like, absolutely not.
Look at this. This is Laurence Olivier and Othello. And this is James Earl Jones. Now look at how close they look.
Look at that. James Earl Jones doing a great blackface.
James Earl Jones has a black face. He's a black man.
He's not black. James
Of course
Earl
he's
Jones,
black.
He was Darth Vader.
Darth Vader was black?
No,
See, okay, there we go.
Darth Vader was not black. They took the mask off. He was white.
He did take the mask off and he was white, but it was James Earl Jones doing the voiceover. So that's a tough one. Which one actually was it? We don't know. We have no idea. I like Will Howard, but Will Howard was a 5th round pick, right? So they seem to like him, but you know what? Coaches and franchises saying they like their players is nothing new. So I think Will Howard probably deserves a chance. And if Rodgers comes back and he gets hurt, or he doesn't come back, Will Howard will be the starting quarterback. I'm not trying to say that. It is either Drew Aller or Muhammad, or Howard or Drew Aller. Something like that, yeah.
I was between that and Muhammad.
Why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad? Why don't you just pick a common name like a normal person?
Muhammad is the most commonly used name on earth. Read a fucking book for one.
Dakota wants an underdog draft. How many other people want an underdog draft? Again, we did not meet the goal. I've already done way too many of these. It was a rough month. I lost money in April, partially due to sending $350 worth of merchandise with shipping out, which was on me, but I want to give back to the people that give back to me. If other people are in here and let's see, 17 likes in the video. Yeah, that's something. I just don't want to do that many drafts before the buy comes in. I'll say this. I'm going to do 15 more minutes. If we meet, I let put one goal up there. It's really cheap. If we meet that, or someone signs up for the Patreon this very show right now, boom, sign up. I'll do one. So there's 2 options. And I know Dakota would re-sign up if he could, but that's not really an option. If that happens, I will do one. If not, we will definitely be doing them in the coming weeks. I mean, that's going to be essentially all May underdog drafts, all June. And then once July hits, we'll still be doing some underdog drafts, but a lot more fantasy content for y'all. So the hard J, the hard J is the issue. And Hetzer, the nice thing is you watch the stream a lot, Hetzer, so you've seen a lot of Sunny clips out of context, which actually might make them funnier. But in context with the long running jokes of the show and the character development, it's an all-time epic comedy. And if you like Seinfeld, then you'll love Sunny, because Sunny is Seinfeld on crack. And that was not my words. That is the words of a I forget who it was, but a some type of TV Roger Ebert type. Faded, I wanted to, but why you charge so much? I really don't charge that much. The Discord's $5 a month for awesome stuff. The $10 tier gets you everything, and it gets you access to the bets. So if you play 96 and 58, gentlemen, so $10 a month is really nothing when you're talking about making hundreds of dollars a month on the bets. So yeah, that's very good. Faded says, skip to the football comments. Unfortunately, we don't just do football around here. We like to talk about other stuff. So people give me a fucking hard time tonight, man. You realize I put out like 20 hours a week, and it's all free for you guys to comment and hang out. So Hatcher says Patreon was only $45 for the whole year or something. That is true. It's still super cheap. I don't know. I mean, if you want to go other shows, like people charge $100 a month for their bets, and they're actually not nearly as successful as we are on this show. So I'm going back to your comments there, Faded. Oh, I read your comment wrong. Just skip past my football comments. There's a lot of comments. Again, guys, this is not that easy to host. I'm doing a lot of things right now, so I do my best, my very best. Eller makes sense if A-Rod comes back too. He can learn from the GOATs. I do think at this stage of Aaron Rodgers' career, earlier on with Jordan Love, it was an issue with him, being a tutor and mentoring these guys. I think now he's at peace with what he is at this twilight of his career. He's more apt to want to tutor somebody. So it does make sense. I think it makes sense either way. And if you don't like him, I understand if you don't like Drew Aller. That's fine. And that's definitely Dakota hates him. But Drew Aller is not competition for Aaron Rodgers. That's why it did make sense in that regard, because this is not Ty Simpson. This is not even Carson Beck, who seems like more a pro-ready player. There is no way Aller is going to beat out Aaron Rodgers. This is Aaron Rodgers' job in general. That's also going to be in the language of the contract. If he is healthy, he's playing. No way he's getting benched. Let's see. Where are we at? They think you're triggered, so they trying to get you tweaking. Yeah, I'm always good, man. I can handle it. I have been drinking a little bit, and the show is a lot. It does take a lot of mental fortitude to. Also, I want to set up my guests to be successful. That's the hardest thing. Dragon Howard is nobody to be handled a starting quarterback either. Competition will be good for the Steelers. Yeah, they need something, and this team has whiffed on so many. Post Ben Roethlisberger, it's been so rough for the Steelers. The Kenny Pickett pick, man. I know he was a local kid out of Pittsburgh, but he was fine with Pitt. He also had tiny hands, was not a physical freak at all, and not really a good decision maker. So that was an awful pick. And there's been a lot of them. And the problem is the Steelers are one of those franchises that wants to always stay relevant. But that's just not possible in the NFL today with the salary cap and just, I'm not saying the cap's the end all be all, but it's just too much turnover in the NFL. You can't stay relevant for that long. And the Steelers just refuse to break it down. And you saw it with their moves this year. I love the Michael Pittman move. I like their draft. They're going to be fine. They're going to win 8 or 9 games, even without Mike Tomlin. It's fine. And I'm not a big McCarthy guy, but also, they did Super Bowl winning Kenny Pickett, and he didn't do anything. I think he played 1 game for the Eagles and they won, but that was real. He did win a Super Bowl with Kenny Pickett as the backup, but Kenny Pickett's terrible. Also, so bad with the Raiders. So bad. I think every year I'm in on DK Metcalf, and this is the best price point we have had on DK Metcalf. He is going in the mid-70s. So the 7th round, the end of 6th, early 7th round on Underdog right now, and that's probably where he's going to go in redraft. Man, it's always a roller coaster, but the nice thing is you're going to get him as your flex. So, I'm fine with the roller coaster of DK Metcalf as my flex. I got to quit him. It's literally like Brokeback Mountain. I wish I could quit you, DK Metcalf, but I just can't. Any of you guys have seen Brokeback Mountain? If you have not, it's a great movie. And I know it's got some questionable subject matter, but very good movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is elite, and Heath Ledger, rest in peace. All-time great actor. Gloves on quarterback. It is a red flag. And yeah, 2 gloves, man. White gloves. Yeah, I think the only thing I could think of for Kenneth Gainwell faded is they like Jalen Warren in the Kenneth Gainwell role, right? Because Jalen Warren is not an early down back. So they bring in an early down banger, and essentially you put Jalen Warren back where he should be, right? So that's what they're thinking there. But Kenneth Gainwell, and that's also Aaron Rodgers' best friend. He was his favorite player on the team. So I don't know. I think they should have kept Kenneth Gainwell as well. But like when you bring him in and you have Jalen Warren, you don't really have a true early down back. And that was supposed to be Caleb Johnson, right? Caleb Johnson was supposed to be that early down back. And I still have some hope for Caleb Johnson. I really do. I don't know what they're doing there. Rico Dowdle is a fine player. Also not your traditional banger. I mean, he's fine in early downs, but he's also like 208 pounds. So I don't know what the hell they have going on there. Let's see here. Jason's back in here. Can you check email? I am checking my email. I don't have anything. Let's see. We have sports memes in here. What's going on, man? Long time. He's back in the Discord. A pretty great Ruben Bain meme. He's back making the memes. Appreciate you, my dude. Tommy Two Gloves. You're talking about Tommy Two Gloves Gainey, the old golfer? I have played with 2 gloves before in the rain. I don't like that for golf. Hey-oh, Dakota got his shirt. Hell yeah, man. Hopefully it fits you. What did you get? XL? That's what I rock. Not a bad little shirt. Shout out to my dad for helping me make those. Gainwell had more receiving yards than DK Metcalf. Is that for sure? Did Gainwell really have more receiving yards than DK Metcalf? What a wild stat that is, man. That just blows my fucking mind, dude. I still have hope for Caleb Johnson, man. It was a little early, but it was a 3rd round, and they fucked him. He fumbled on a kick return, and they benched him. He's not even a kick returner. So, new regime there. I feel like Caleb Johnson has a shot. I like his talent, especially as an early down banger. We got McCall in here. What's going on, man? Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, and T. Higgins being top 35 picks in both best ball and redraft leagues. How does one feel comfortable with these guys at those ADPs? So I can break them down all individually. So Garrett Wilson before the draft, I loved at his ADP, like absolutely love, because the talent is there and the targets will be there. Now it's a little bit more lukewarm for me because there's a lot of mouths there and Geno Smith's playing quarterback, but the talent's there. You're talking about end of the 3rd, early 4th round. Nico Collins, T. Higgins. Nico Collins is going in the middle of the 3rd round, early 3rd round. Nico Collins is 1 year removed from an elite season, both metrics and stats, and he is the number 1 there. Yeah, they have Jaden Higgins, they have some other guys, but it's Nico Collins' team. And, I think they're getting a discount because what we saw from CJ Stroud in the playoffs, but he was better in the regular season. And T. Higgins is tied to Joe Burrow, and yes, they kind of got that defense a little better with Sexy Dexy and some of the picks they made, but it's still not going to be a good defense. And the target tree there is so narrow with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And Joe Burrow is one of the few quarterbacks that have 50 touchdown upside, right? 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown upside. It's not all going to go to Jamar Chase. So I am comfortable with actually all of those guys at ADP. Nico Collins is going the earliest, so I probably like him the least at cost. I would probably rank it T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins at cost for me. But am I crazy here? I was really concerned with the end of the year usage with Nico last year, with Higgins playing more snaps than him, and he had to be hurt. That is my only thing, because Nico Collins is a great blocker. They want him on the field. The past couple of years, he was a 90+% snap share player. I don't know what the hell happened towards the end of the year. I'm guessing he was playing hurt. And T. Higgins the issue is with him has never been per game production. It's always been he plays 12 games. So he ends up with, 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns and plays like 12 games. Per game production is great for T. Higgins. And that's T. Higgins. You're tied to an elite quarterback. So I am fine with all those guys. That's second tier of wide receivers for me. Dakota, I looked at my butthole in the mirror today. It blew my fucking mind. What did you see, man? Was it like looking into the sun? Did it blind you? I feel like Nico last year was going, end of the first, early second. So now you're getting essentially over a full round discounts. And he got hurt last year. Like I said, the end of the year, I think he was hurt. I don't know what it was, but there's something going on there. I don't understand why they're using running backs. And now the kick return matters more, faded. But I have no idea what they're doing there, especially with Caleb Johnson in that circumstance. Super stupid, man. Bucky is nice, but Kenneth Gainwell is going to have his role, and that's going to be the Rachaad White role, and he's better at it. And then Sean Tucker's not going away. So I am only going to be comfortable with Bucky Irving if he falls to the early 5th round. In redraft, that is. I take some shots at him in best ball because the upside is real. But if he's losing goal line touches to Sean Tucker and losing some of the receiving down with Kenneth Gainwell, like I am out. I think one of the big reasons they brought in Gainwell and re-signed Tucker is they don't trust the durability of Bucky Irving. He's a smaller dude, and his rookie year was efficiency, right? He was getting the 14 to 16 touches, and he was just balling out. That's the ideal role for Bucky Irving, but that's not great for us fantasy owners of Bucky Irving. Lions do some wacky shit. Jason, that was a 3rd-year slump from CJ Stroud. This is his 4th year. So rookie year was amazing. Second year was when he got drafted top 6 for fantasy quarterback. And then 3rd year was last year, and that was up and down. He got hurt a little bit, and Davis Mills came in for those 5 games. And he was fine, actually. It was just the playoffs was just rough. Never over 8 TDs or 80 catches for Collins and health injuries. Higgins injury prone too. O-line for both hasn't improved much. Geno to Wilson is gross. Best ball, I get it, but not redraft. Well, Geno's a trucker, though. The nice thing about Geno is, but the downside is they have, Sadiq now, Omar Cooper. They're going to be throwing the ball to a lot of different guys, and Breece Hall is going to command 50 to 60 targets out of the backfield. So the thing with Garrett Wilson is this is perceived because it hasn't quite panned out in terms of his on-field production, but Garrett Wilson's an elite receiver. I will tell you this. I think Garrett Wilson's a more talented receiver than Chris Olave. It was Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and JSN in that stretch at Ohio State, and I would rank it JSN, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. And Chris Olave just had a banner year. Garrett Wilson is more talented, in my mind, than Chris Olave. More versatile and just a more competitive player underneath. So that's the Garrett Wilson thing. And, a lot of people have been burned by Garrett Wilson because for some reason that he was getting drafted in the 1st round a bunch of times. Super weird stuff. In a vacuum, though, I think T. Higgins is the best value of the bunch now, thinking about it.
Well, Mom also said for you to stop sticking your dick in the vacuum cleaner.
Hello? Hello? I said don't disturb you, I'm cleaning my room!
Oh, Deebo Samuel is a big question mark, man. I was penciling him for the Raiders for a while. Or sorry, not the Raiders. The Raiders would be a good spot, but I was actually seeing the Rams for a while, and they drafted C.J. Daniels. It was a 6th-round pick, but they also drafted Max Clare. So I don't like that fit. So I think the Raiders make sense for Deebo Samuel. That's probably my guess, but he's going to be a luxury item for any of these teams. At this point, he's not going to get the money he wants, so he's going to go to a place where he can win. And I think that's the best option for Deebo Samuel. And, the Bears actually wouldn't be a bad spot thinking about it. Maybe the Packers could be a spot for him. They like, Jaden Reed is a similar type player in terms of gadget stuff. That could be an option. Mecca Ibuka, another one of those guys. I hate Emeka Ibuka, but I can't argue with the fact I love Baker Mayfield. And He was awesome the first half. I still hope that it was just injuries that slowed him down the second half and it wasn't the other stuff. But his vertical was awful. He couldn't jump. He was dropping passes and just not getting open. So I guess we'll see. Tyreek Hill is available. I think Tyreek Hill has been linked pretty heavily to the Giants. Although drafting Malachi Fields, does that put a damper on that? And they're totally different players. But, the fact that we have questions about Malik Neighbors when he starts, like Tyreek Hill, also a guy that's going to have, is he going to start the year? We don't know. Raiders need a receiver. It's not just a veteran receiver, but definitely a veteran receiver and a guy that could fit that role because, Trey Tucker is a downfield threat. You have Jack Bash, who's a slot receiver. They don't have a lot of talent there outside of their 2 tight ends, who I do like Michael Mayer as the second tight end there. He might actually have some sneaky appeal if they don't bring anyone of substance in. Michael Mayer might have some nice appeal. Just they're going to play a lot of 12 personnel, get some extra big bodies in the field to protect Mendoza, or even if it's Kirk Cousins who throws the ball to tight ends exclusively. All right. That is about to do it for me. Tomorrow night's open bar with Big Ray. You might even see Dakota on this program. Do a little 3-way with Dakota and Big Ray. 10 p.m. Central. Going to be a wild show. As always, the open bar shows are. We get drunk. We talk about random shit as well as a bunch of NFL stuff. Answer all your questions. That's what we do. Again, sorry about the mix-up. Email you. I can only give you my actual email. That's all I can do. Like I said, you can go to the link in the description if you want to get into the Dynasty League. There is one spot. Sunday is the deadline. Just go to the website, go to Patreon, whatever you got to do. Find Professional Fanatics, which is very accessible. You sign up. I send you an email with whatever email you use to sign up, and you're in, buddy. And you're in the community. You're possibly into the Dynasty League if you want to. One spot available. First come, first serve. I really don't want to break up 2 of the co-hosts to make it 14. I really don't want to do that, but we'll do that if we have to. We talk a little bit of both, Dragon. This is traditionally a fantasy show, but this time of year, we'll talk about everything. But generally more fantasy-oriented. But, yeah, you'll get the hang of it. Dakota, I'm going to join a Frenchie draft, 2-entry tourney, $15. What the hell's a Frenchie draft, man? Can you help me out with that, Dakota? What does that mean? Tell me everything,
Good,
man.
tell me everything.
Okay, they were both here. They were both inside me. Eduardo was in my mouth and Luther was in my butt.
Oh my God, no, don't tell me everything. What? No, what?
Damn it, Bonnie.
Eduardo who?
Sanchez.
Holy shit, tell us more.
Then Luther went in Eduardo's butt for a while.
Tell us less. Tell us less.
Then they both completed on each other. I was left out of the finale.
Oh, it's left out of the Frenchie draft, man. Tell me all about it. Let's see. He gives me the explanation right here. Underdog tourney, 4K entries, 10K to first. 2-entry tourney. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. Anyways, appreciate everybody. Again, go to the website, join the community. Join it now. Get in there. Join all these fine people you see in the chat every single night and support your boy. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m., like I said, Big Ray, maybe Dakota sprinkled in there. Going to be a good time. And then we'll be doing a lot more shows, obviously, and then some underdog drafts in the coming weeks. You'll see me on here quite a bit. Gearing up for the season, guys. We have a lot of time, but you know what? A lot of stuff to break down, a lot of edges to be met. So, Ayo for Yayo, one of the worst songs ever written. Or who is the performer of that song? Do you guys know? Ayo for Yayo, all up in my nasal. What a bad song that was. But you know what? It got a lot of hits, got a lot of plays. Kind of like the Fantasy Football Counselor. That's the Fantasy Football Counselor version of rap songs. But, you know, I'm out here trying to be Mozart like the Counselor gets. That son of a bitch. You know what? Controversy sells, and we try to, you know, just give it to you straight so we can all make money. That's the goal on this channel, as always. Anyways, appreciate everybody. Thank you, Dakota. Thank you to everyone else. Love your life. Stay positive and respect each other. We'll see y'all tomorrow night.
Just seemed like a good dude. I thought I'd see if you wanted to grab a beer, that's all. I'm glad you called. We get home safe, Pistol.
You got it, Jobin.
I'm sorry, what?
Nothing.
No, what'd you say?
I don't know. You nicknamed me Pistol, and I just called you Jobin. It means nothing. I'm drunk. I'm gonna call a cab.
All right, man. You have my number, yeah?
I got you stored in my iPhone.
All right, if you need me,